Chapter 1343. Yangqing admired the girl's meticulousness. This seemingly simple question was indeed something that needed to be considered. He could not use his cultivation, and the fewer people who suspected him, the better. Hence, he readily agreed. However, he already had that relationship with Jane, and it would be troublesome to explain it to Lin Ruoshi. He only hoped that Lin Ruoshi would not find out too early. Yangqing felt that it was getting harder and harder to raise his head in front of women. Although all of his confidants were affectionate and sweet, his spine was hurting. He thought of Qiang Wei and Kai Ning, who were still in the Mediterranean Sea. He did not know how they were doing, and whether they would blame him for not checking up on them for such a long time. Thinking of this, Yangqing slapped his forehead. He was so stupid. Since he could help Hui Lin pull some strings and get her out of the illusion, could Kai Ning, who also had an official background, do the same? She was a member of the group of 8, after all. After making the call, he immediately looked for Kai Ning. When Kai Ning learned that Yangqing had returned safely, she sounded quite happy. They had not talked for so many days, and her heart was always empty. She had a lot of hidden grievances, but now they were all gone. Yangqing coaxed the woman with sweet words for a while, and then they talked about business. He discussed with Kai Ning whether he should help her pull some strings so that she could move freely in the country. However, Kai Ning smiled softly. "Hubby, have you forgotten that the general is my biological father? My dad has already asked me about this. He wants to help me and the people from Hongmeng." Yangqing was stunned. "Then why didn't you mention it to me? Did he not pass?" "No, I don't want my dad to break the rules, at least not as his daughter. Besides, I am the same as Qiang Wei. I don't really care where I live. The environment here on the island is good, and it's quiet. Everyone is very warm and respectful to us. We have no reason to beg the people from Hongmeng to let us go back to Huaxia," Kai Ning said. Yangqing said sourly, "Don't you want to be by my side? If Ruoshi doesn't mind, we'll go," Kai Ning teased. Yangqing was at a loss of what to do, thinking that the sun would rise from the west. "All right, let Rose answer the phone. I'll talk to her for a bit. What is she doing?" "She's fishing right now. She said she wants to eat seafood barbecue for lunch." Mr. Ron clearly arranged for a chef, but she insisted on trying herself. "I can't do anything about it," Kai Ning said. This time, Yangqing believed that the two women were having so much fun that they forgot about their duties. However, this also made him feel more at ease. At this moment, far away in the Mediterranean Sea, beside the azure waters, Qiang Wei was wearing a pair of large purple-framed sunglasses, slightly pouting her pink lips. She was wearing a charming orange and white Hawaiian casual swimsuit, which showed off her slender waist and enchanting figure. On a huge rock by the sea, Qiang Wei held a fishing line and waited for the fish to take the bait. Kai Ning jumped a few times from afar and came to Qiang Wei's side. She passed the phone to her. "It's a call from my husband." Qiang Wei came back to her senses, but her attention was still on the sea. She didn't pick up the phone and asked casually, "You're back? Are you okay?" "And I'm fine. Aren't you going to pick it up? It's good that you're fine." "Wait. Ninger, look." The fish took the bait. It took the bait. Qiang Wei cried out in surprise. She stood up and straightened the fishing line, then started to spin the reel. For Qiang Wei, who hadn't lived a good life outside since she was young and didn't have any holidays, picking wild fruits, fishing, picking seashells, and diving on the island were all new and interesting. Kai Ning didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She shook her head and said to Yangqing, who was waiting on the other end of the phone, "Hubby, why don't we talk about it next time? Qiang Wei is very busy now." Yangqing could already hear Qiang Wei's happy shouts. He couldn't wait to go there and enjoy the leisure life on the island with a woman. Men had a hard life. They had to bear all the pressure by themselves. Yangqing muttered to himself. He still had a lot of things to deal with and didn't have the time to take a vacation. After telling Kai Ning and Qiang Wei to enjoy themselves and that he would visit them in a few days, Yangqing hung up the phone. Immediately afterward, Yangqing took out his mobile phone and booked a flight ticket back to Zhonghai that night. There were still 2 days before the premiere of Hui Lin's movie. He still had time. Firstly, he hadn't accompanied Mo, Qianyi, Anxin, and the other girls for a long time. Secondly, He needed to ask Min Wan why she didn't give him the token. That night, Yang Cheng only told Lin Ruoxi and the others that he was going back to Zhonghai to take care of some matters, and then he went alone. Lin Ruoxi was busy planning a perfect comeback for Hui Lin. She only thought that Yang Cheng was itching to find other women to be intimate with. She didn't feel good in her heart, but she didn't have time to care. At the same time, late at night, in the study of the Ning family's courtyard in Yanjing, Ning Zhengchun, who had changed back into a white robe, was holding a top-grade purple clay teapot in one hand, sipping the fragrant tea, and flipping through a tablet on the table with the other hand. Although he was a member of the hidden family in the illusion, it didn't mean that the hidden family was completely detached from the secular world. On the contrary, they regularly sent people to the secular world to learn, so that the hidden family could keep up with the times. It wasn't difficult for them to operate products such as computers. These are the information about Yang Cheng that we've investigated. Are they all here? Ning Jingchun asked leisurely. Ning Guangyao stood aside and said respectfully, "Yes, the fourth, unless there are some hidden agencies and organizations abroad." Ning Zhengchun nodded. This Yang Cheng is quite a troublemaker. He is only in his 20s, but he has made a name for himself abroad. That's right. Actually, he's the most difficult to deal with when he's overseas. Every country's government is wary of him. His firearms business, connections, and armed forces have made him an independent kingdom in the underground world. It's said that he has a territory in the Mediterranean Sea that the Queen of Wales gifted to him. It's called the Forgotten Kingdom, and it's his base camp. Many of the most notorious people in the world have been living in seclusion there ever since they surrendered to him. Unfortunately, there's no satellite signal there, so we have no way of knowing the exact situation, Ning Guangyao said. Humph, such a difficult character. No wonder no one dares to touch him, even though he is so arrogant. It's a pity that he can't be used by us. Ning Jingchuan's eyes were misty. Recalling the scene of him testing Yang Cheng's cultivation during the day, he had a lingering fear. This kid's cultivation is getting more and more unfathomable. The family sent me here to try my best to get his cultivation method and make him one of us. But it won't be so easy if we don't get something on him. Ning Jingchun helplessly continued to read the information. There was a hint of hesitation in Ning Guangyao's eyes. He was considering whether he should say something. In the end, he gritted his teeth and said, "The fourth, actually, after the fight in Pear Garden a few days ago, the number 1 chief asked me to meet him." "Oh," Ning Jingchuan's eyes flashed. "Number 1 asked to meet him alone?" Ning Guangyao nodded nervously. "Yes, it's been a long time." "Number 1, what did he say?" Ning Jingchun was quite attentive. Ning Guangyao said, "What the chief means is for us to restrain ourselves. Recently, there have been a lot of people coming out of the illusion, and they're disturbing the people. They're about to cross the boundary." Ning Zhengchuan's face darkened. His gaze changed unpredictably for a long time before he sighed. This is worldly power. Since the establishment of the new Huaxia, the 4 families have occupied the dominant position. The number 1 chief has never really participated in it. I didn't expect that this time. Finally, he's going to speak. Ning Guangyao's forehead was also covered in cold sweat. The 4th, is the power behind the number 1 chief really that terrifying? He had been the head of the Ning family for almost 20 years. His father had told him to have the deepest respect for number 1. No matter how much power he had, he was not allowed to sit on number 1's head. But for so many years, no. 1 chief and him, the premier, were almost on 2 parallel lines. He didn't have much contact with the elders of the other 3 families, and only had a polite relationship. Therefore, Ning Guangyao didn't know much about them. Ning Zhengchun suddenly looked serious. "I warn you, Ning Guangyao, if number 1 said that this matter is about to cross the boundary, it means that the entire Ning family has been targeted. The person behind number 1 is not someone you can guess at your level. Use your pig brain to think why the 4 families have ruled over Huaxia for so many years, but there has never been a number 1 chief." Ning Guangyao's face turned pale. He suddenly realized that the only chief he had treated like air was far more mysterious than he had imagined. Chapter 1344. Seeing that Ning Guangyao's expression was not right, Ning Zhengchun suddenly smiled and patted him on the shoulder. Don't be too nervous. Number 1 is only in charge of the last pass. Unless it's absolutely necessary, the power is still in the hands of the 4 families. You, the head of the Ning family, can still sit in the position of premier, which means that it's not that bad. Ning Guangyao wiped his forehead and nodded with a smile. However, he was still curious as to what kind of background could make the hidden clans so afraid of him. After all, even the All Heavens Island represented by Hongmeng was on an equal footing with the hidden families, so they wouldn't really be afraid of them. Could it be that there was a more unfathomable force above the Hongmeng and the hidden families in the illusory realm? This thought made Ning Guangyao tremble subconsciously. He was not willing to be a puppet that was high and mighty in the eyes of the common people, but could be replaced in the eyes of some people. But if the core of Huaxia was in the hands of such an unfathomable person, it would be better for him to behave himself, lest he lose his life. At this time, Ning Zhengchun had already continued to read through Yang Cheng's information. He seemed to be unwilling to give up and wanted to find a breakthrough. Suddenly, when he turned to a photo of a woman, Ning Zhengchun's pupils contracted and his eyes flickered. He pointed at the beautiful woman in the photo with a gloomy tone. This woman is also Yang Cheng's lover? His tone seemed to be a little incredulous. Ning Guangyao took a look and replied with a smile. Yes, her name is Xiao Qiqing. According to the latest information, her mother, Wang Yulan, is a maid of the Lin family. Many years ago, she gave birth to Xiao Qiqing with a gardener named Mo Zheng, but later Mo Zheng disappeared. This Xiao Qiqing returned to Huaxia from the United States. I don't know how she got involved with Yang Cheng, but now she lives with her mother in a courtyard in the western suburbs of Zhonghai. Mo Zheng? Haha, it's sorrowless. It's really her. Xiao Qiqing. Haha, this is interesting. Yang Cheng is really audacious. Ning Zhengchun laughed sinisterly. Ning Guangyao didn't quite understand either. After thinking for a while, he asked, the 4th, could it be that this Xiao Qiqing has another story to tell? Humph, this woman's background is not a big deal, but she is a treasure for alchemists. This is something you don't understand. What we need to do now is to pass this information to someone who wants to find her. Yang Cheng. At that time, maybe the Ning family will help you, Humph. A trace of evil flashed in Ning Zhengchun's eyes. In Zhonghai, the moon was bright and the stars were sparse. The atmosphere of the spring festival shrouded this bustling city, and the bright night scene added a lot of festive elements. Located in a relatively secluded courtyard in the western suburbs, there were also many mansions lit up with red lanterns. These big families paid more attention to this traditional custom for a good omen in the coming year. Anyway, they didn't lack money for these decorations. After Yang Cheng got off the plane, he took a taxi to the courtyard. The security guard on duty hadn't seen Yang Cheng for a long time. If he didn't show his identity card, he might not let Yang Cheng in. Unable to use his cultivation base, Yang Cheng finally experienced the feeling of being an ordinary person in the past. Although his physical fitness was still there, it was no longer possible for him to come and go without a trace. Now, 5 of the 4 mansions near the back mountain were already the territory of his family. He hadn't seen his little lovers for a long time, so Yang Cheng couldn't bear it. At a glance, he found that only Mo Qianyi in Ma Guifang's room was still lit. This saved him a lot of trouble. He didn't need to make a choice. Yang Cheng ran downstairs like a gust of wind. Seeing that there was no one around, he easily jumped up to the balcony on the 2nd floor. The ability to be a thief had been integrated into his bones when he was a killer. When he was young and romantic, he often went to some rich and powerful families to steal women. At this time, in order to give Mo Qianyi a surprise, Yang Cheng naturally did it like a fish in the water. Almost silently pushing open the glass door of the balcony, Yang Cheng walked into the corridor on the 2nd floor and came to the door of Mo Qianyi's bedroom. From outside the door, he could hear the sound of hua hua hua, water inside, and he could almost see the seductive scenery of the woman's plump body under the water. Yang Chen's heart warmed up, and the little brothers below immediately felt it, valiantly flaunting their strength. Swallowing his saliva, Yangcheng slowly unlocked the door with experience. He controlled every inch of the door to not make any friction sounds, and he pursued a perfect break-in. Finally, Yangcheng opened the door to the room. He could already smell the fragrance of orchids in the room. On the big bed with clean white sheets, a few pink lace undergarments were casually thrown around. Yangcheng squeezed through the door and was about to close the door with his backhand when he suddenly felt something was wrong. Almost instinctively, he grabbed the back of his head. Who is it? At the same time that a cold gun barrel was grabbed by Yangcheng, a sharp dagger was aimed at his throat from another direction. Someone was hiding behind the door to ambush. Because he couldn't spread out his divine sense like before, Yangcheng didn't pay much attention and almost fell into the trap. Although he would be fine after being shot by hundreds of bullets, he would still lose face. Fortunately, Yangcheng's skills were far better than that person's. Before the dagger reached him, he pulled with his left hand, and the attacker behind him was pressed against the door. Little Qian. Yangcheng looked at the panicked and angry beauty in front of him and couldn't react. Qian didn't take a shower. Her hair was still in a bun, and she was wearing a black and white checkered suit and trousers. She had a floral collar, and she looked like a fashionable gold-collar worker at work. However, the woman was holding a silver pistol in one hand and a military dagger in the other, which really made people break out in cold sweat. Hubby, Qian was stunned at first, and then she revealed a happy expression. She hadn't seen her lover for a long time. Why did you come back so late at night? I was wondering who it was that came to launch a sneak attack. Yangcheng smiled bitterly. Who taught you this? You even know how to put in a bathwater and pajamas to distract others' attention. I taught myself. Just cultivating inner force isn't a problem. I just watch some Secret Service movies and learn a little. Maybe I can use it. Is that so? You have to first learn how to judge good and evil. It's all thanks to your man's ability that other people would have peed their pants long ago. How would I know that you would come in like a thief in the middle of the night? Qian pouted. Let go of my hand first. It hurts from your pinching. Only then did Yangcheng notice that he was still holding the woman's two white wrists and pressing her against the door. Hearing the woman's pleas, he revealed a mischievous smile. Qian felt that something was wrong and asked in a low voice, What are you doing? Little Qian, I haven't come back for so long. I'll take good care of you tonight. Yangcheng's breathing gradually quickened. He lowered his head, and the tip of his nose slowly approached Qian's face. Qian's dimples were instantly covered with haze, and her eyes were moist and misty. How could she not know what the man meant? I just came back from overtime. Let me take a bath. Okay. No need, I think the scene is pretty good. Let's act out a play tonight. At night, a single woman returns home and encounters a flower thief. She tries her best to resist, but the flower thief picks a flower. Qian giggled and coquettishly rolled her eyes at him. What kind of melodramatic script is this? I'm not going to cooperate with you. Don't laugh. You've already been controlled by the flower thief, so you should be shouting for help. Yangcheng guided. Qian couldn't do anything about this man. It was said that a man would never grow up in front of a woman he liked. If he acted mature enough in front of you, it could only be said that he didn't love you deeply enough. From this point of view, Qian was quite satisfied. Taking a deep breath, Qian looked at the man affectionately and simply accompanied him to go crazy. She pretended to be bullied and opened her mouth to shout, "Help." However, before she could finish shouting, her cherry lips had already been heavily blocked by Yangcheng. In the midst of the intertwining of their tongues, he began to ravage every inch of the tender flesh in her chest, wanting to make her unable to breathe. Woo-woo. Only after kissing Qian until she was gasping for breath and was about to suffocate did Yangcheng let go. The moment their lips separated, a crystal silk thread was connected from their lips. For a time, the pink flame in the room heated up. Qian looked at the man she loved with a pair of blurry eyes. Her red lips were slightly parted, and she could feel the wild but loving emotions in his eyes. She was completely intoxicated. Bad guy. As soon as you come back, you bully me. Do you want it to be picked up by the flower thief so much? Then won't you be a cuckold in the end? Yang Chung stuck out his tongue and licked the woman's lustrous earlobe like a dragonfly skimming the water, and then gently bit it with his teeth. Suddenly, Mo Chinni's whole body and bones were limp, and the gap between her legs was itchy, as if there was a moist water. What a little fool. You can fall in love with this flower thief in the end. Mo Chinni was about to laugh out when she found that her whole body had been carried horizontally. She couldn't help but let out a cry, and the dagger and gun in her hands had already fallen to the ground. Yang Chung strode to the bedside, threw the plump beauty on the bed, and covered her with his whole body. Little beauty, you disarmed so quickly. It seems that you have accepted your fate to be picked tonight. Yang Chung kissed the woman's pink neck and said vaguely. Mo Chinni let out a burst of comfortable whispers. It's not that my man is always not here. Wild man is wild man. I'm afraid that you are a wax spearhead, can't satisfy me. Yang Chung suddenly raised his head and looked at Mo Chinni, who had a hint of slyness in her eyes, and suddenly found that this woman was very talented in acting. This really stimulated him. Chapter 1345. With a very cooperative actress, Yang Chung was full of energy for the whole night. He simply became a tireless supermotor, and the frequency of the piston movement reached a new height. Mo Chinni paid the price for her provocative behavior. Although the woman's body had a strong quality improvement after such a period of time, with a large number of elixirs and internal force cultivation, there was still a gap between her and Yang Cheng's monster physique. In the latter half of the night, Mo Chinni almost felt that the lower half of her body had become numb. Her two plump and slender jade legs swayed as the man played with them, and she couldn't control them at all. She didn't know how many times she had climbed to the peak. This feeling of emptiness made her excited and infatuated, but she also felt a little scared, as if she was really going to be emptied by the man. Fortunately, Yang Chung also knew how to cherish his woman. If this was in the past, when he was still fooling around with his senior sister, he would definitely make this extremely daring woman who dared to doubt his manhood faint. Now that Mo Chinni had already begged, he let her go. He let her lie on his chest and fell asleep in a daze, so that she could rest for a few hours before dawn. When the sky turned white and the morning came the misty clouds, Yang Chung lay in the middle of Mo Chinni's big bed and found that the woman had gone downstairs. On the big bed, many places were still wet, obviously evidence of the woman's exhaustion last night. Yang Chung revealed a smug smile, lying on the bed, took out a cigarette, and lit it for himself. He smoked for a while, extremely satisfied. If only he could enjoy life so peacefully and comfortably every day. How good would it be? After taking a hot bath, Yang Chung leisurely walked downstairs. Before he reached the bottom of the stairs, he smelled a fragrance, which made him want to eat. Mo Chinni was concentrating on cooking breakfast. After all, the limitations of a small family made her more capable of housework than other urban women. Her hair was simply tied up, and she was wearing a blue and white checkered apron. She was wearing a loose white t-shirt, and she didn't wear any culottes, revealing a pair of white and proud, round and straight legs. Just looking at it from the back, it was filled with a strong sense of home warmth. Yang Chung suddenly remembered the one-night stand in the suburbs. The woman was also exhausted, but she woke up earlier than him and dressed up in front of the dressing table. This kind of woman, who came from a simple and traditional mountain village, would not be like other women who would lie in a man's arms and sleep soundly in the early morning. Her hard-working nature naturally made her want to wake up early to make breakfast for the man she liked, even if the man didn't really need it. Mo Chinni noticed that Yang Chung had come downstairs. She turned around and smiled. "You're coming down. Wait a moment. I'll fry you 2 more poached eggs." Yang Cheng's heart was filled with warmth. Although he already had quite a few close female friends, Mo Chinni always gave him the strongest sense of belonging to the family. Yang Chung would even occasionally feel sorry for Lin Ruoshi. If he had met Mo Chinni for the first time, perhaps she would have been the candidate for his wife. As he thought about it, his love for women grew stronger. He walked up and hugged the woman's waist. His lips moved closer to Mo Chinny's neck, exhaling hot air. I don't want to eat poached eggs. I want to eat steamed buns. Yang Chung laughed evilly. Mo Chinny's face was dyed red, and her hands and feet stiffened. She asked with a gentle smile, "But what if we don't have it at home? How about I go out and buy it?" What a pitiful woman. She was still very naive about these things and didn't realize the meaning behind it. Yang Cheng's smile became even more evil. His left hand smoothly slipped into Mo Chinny's collar and grabbed onto a ball of delicacy. "I want to eat your steamed bun, a big white steamed bun with red dates." Mo Chinny let go of the spatula in her hand and fell into the pot. She trembled and said with a sobbing voice, "Hubby, don't be like this. I still have to go to work later. It's New Year's Eve tomorrow. Isn't you lay on holiday?" Yang Cheng's hand did not stop invading the smooth and tender meat. Mo Chinny's voice was mixed with a pleading and happy syllable, like the melodious cry of an oriole. I'm the vice president." Ruashi suddenly started to intervene in some of the company's matters recently. "I was going to resign and focus on my cultivation, but I was dragged back by her. There are a lot of things to do." Yang Chung thought to himself, "What the hell is this Lin Ruashi doing?" She said that she would focus on taking care of the child. Could it be that now that she found it easy to take care of the child, she's itching to return to her old job and start to take over the company? Sometimes this woman seemed like a pure angel, and sometimes she was like a scheming devil. She always gave him a feeling of ice and fire, and he couldn't figure her out. However, Yang Chung was too lazy to think too much about it. The beautiful chef in front of him was the one he liked the most. He chuckled and said, "Breakfast doesn't matter as long as the main course is my little Chan-Chan." As he spoke, Mo Chinny suddenly felt a chill on her butt. Yang Cheng's claws had already lifted the back of her long t-shirt and pulled her light pink panties down to the bend of her legs. He didn't know when he had pulled out the steel spear, but it pierced into her body without any hesitation. "Oh!" Mo Chinny's body trembled. The feeling of being stuffed again made her support her hands on the kitchen table. Once again, she suffered an absurd conquest. After more than an hour, Yang Chung, who was finally done, let the woman go up to take a shower and change her clothes. Yang Chun was like a contented king. He took a few pieces of bread and sat on the chair leisurely. He drank the porridge that he had just prepared and watched the news. When Mo Chinny came down from upstairs, she had already changed into a red-cropped collar suit with a matching red and white silk scarf. She was wearing a short skirt and white stockings. She was graceful and beautiful, but the plump buttocks under the skirt didn't seem to walk naturally. It was obvious that the continuous exploitation last night and this morning had made the woman a little overwhelmed. Yang Chung looked at her proudly, but Mo Chinny rolled her eyes in return. "All right, little Chan-Chan, why isn't mother-in-law here?" Yang Chung just remembered that he hadn't seen Ma Gui Fong, and she didn't seem to be in the house. Mo Chinny walked to the dining table and took a piece of bread. She took a bite and said, "Mom went back to her hometown for the new year. She hasn't been at Grandma's house for a long time, and she misses Grandma. I saw that she's in good health, so I didn't stop her. I originally wanted to go back with her, but there are some things that Ruashi told me that I have to do personally. I don't feel at ease if others do it, so I can only stay in Zhonghai for the time being." Nodding his head, Yang Chung briefly hesitated before he sincerely smiled. Anshin is now the patriarch of the Yin family, and Jingjing and Mingyu have their own families. They must be busy during the new year. Since you're alone, there's no point in staying in Zhonghai. Why don't you accompany me to Beijing tonight after I'm done with some matters? Mo Chinny's beautiful eyes showed a trace of unconcealable emotion. She could tell that Yang Chun wasn't just trying to coax her. This wasn't something that he casually said. If she went to the Yang family to celebrate the new year, it would be equivalent to announcing to those influential families that the Yang family has a mistress. Although it's normal for men from influential families to have a few wives and concubines, it's still a shady business. Not only would she have to bear the pressure from her family, but she would also have to bear the ridicule from all parties. Not to mention, it might even cause a conflict between Yang Chung and Lin Ruashi. However, Yang Chung clearly didn't care about that. He only wanted to not spend the new year alone. Lowering her head and wiping the corner of her eyes, Chinny smiled brightly. No need. With your words, I haven't spent the new year in vain. I'm born to be busy. Just let me spend the new year in the company. After all, there are still many people on duty during the new year. There must be a leader to take charge of the situation. I'll definitely spank your Chairman Linz, but when I get back, how dare he bully my little Chan-Chan? Yang Chung pretended to be angry. Chinny burst into laughter. However, she suddenly thought of something and looked at the time on her phone. Oh no, I still have a meeting in the morning. It's all your fault. I'm going to be late. Saying that, the woman rushed out of the door while chewing on her bread. Not long later, the sound of a car stepping on the accelerator could be heard from outside. A satisfied smile appeared on the corner of Yang Cheng's mouth. After finishing a big bowl of porridge, he washed the breakfast utensils and left. At this time, Mother Wang and Min Wan should have finished their breakfast. Yang Chung felt that it was time to clarify the matter. Chapter 1346. Yang Chung walked to the door and saw Mother Wang sweeping the yard. Wang Ma raised her head and recognized Yang Chen. After being stunned for a while, she said in surprise, "Young master, why are you back? Are you alone?" After all, she was getting on in years, and the house had been empty for so many days. Although she had a daughter by her side, Mother Wang couldn't wait for the new year to be over so that the couple could bring Lan Lan back to Zhonghai. Yang Chung said that he left something at home, so he came back alone. Lin Ruoshi was still in Beijing, and everything was fine. Wang Ma, will Min Wan be staying with you for the next few days? Yang Chun asked in a seemingly casual manner. Mother Wang didn't think much. Yes, thanks to Min Wan. Gu Fong went back to her hometown, so she's the only one with me. Otherwise, I'd be bored to death. Didn't Qinger spend more time with her mother? Yang Chung said with a smile. Mother Wang scolded. She's like a child. She doesn't want to play enough. After all, Qinger was still young and always liked to go out. Miss Choi Yun of the Kai family has nothing to do after she resigned. She always takes Qinger out to play. I can't do anything to her. Yang Chung was happy to see this kind of thing. They were all as women, so it would be easier to get along with them in the future. As they talked, Yang Chung saw Min Wan was busy in the kitchen. This peasant woman dressed more fashionably after entering the city. Although her clothes weren't high-end, she had the time to dress herself up. Looking at her satisfied face washing the vegetables, Yang Chen really couldn't imagine, if a woman like her had a conspiracy behind her back, how much darkness around him hadn't been discovered. Min Wan, Yang Chung said. Min Wan turned around and saw Yang Chen coming back. She said in surprise, Mr. Yang, why are you back? I just cleaned up the breakfast. Are you hungry? Do you want me to cook a bowl of noodles for you? Yang Chen shook his head with a smile. Come upstairs with me. I have something to ask you. We'll talk about the kitchen later. Min Wan wiped her hands on her apron in confusion, but she didn't ask any questions. Mother Wang, on the other hand, was confused as to why Yang Chung was looking for Min Wan. When they reached the second floor, Yang Chung gestured for Min Wan to open her door. Min Wan didn't know what was going on, but she could only comply with the master's request. However, she still felt a little uneasy. After entering the room, Yang Chung looked around and found nothing special. He turned around and asked, Min Wan, when Lanlin's grandfather asked you to take Lan Lan to us, did he tell you anything else? Min Wan was stunned. She smiled awkwardly and said, I don't quite understand what Mr. Yang means. Yang Cheng's eyes gradually became cold. You really don't understand? Min Wan shook her head with difficulty. Her eyes were a little evasive. I don't understand. Yang Chung didn't say anything more. Instead, he took out the string of Buddha beads that Song Tianxing entrusted to Lan Lan. Min Wan just glanced at the Buddha beads, and she was stunned. Then, she showed a look of surprise. Master's Buddha beads? Mr. Yang, where did you get it? You found Master? That's not the point. Yang Cheng's voice sank. He said with a hint of anger, I'm more concerned about the token and letter that Uncle asked you to give me. Where are they? Min Wan was stunned on the spot, as if she was electrocuted. Her face was a little pale. She knew that Yang Chung understood what happened. She said with a trembling voice, Mr. Yang, please listen to my explanation. Where? Yang Cheng's voice was like a great bell, and his eyes were wide open. Min Wan knelt on the ground with a flop. She burst into tears and begged, "Mr. Yang, please listen to my explanation. I really didn't mean it maliciously. I have my own difficulties." As long as Yang Chung thought that this woman secretly hid 17's relics and didn't let him know that his own flesh and blood was still alive in the world, he couldn't wait to crush her bones and scatter her ashes. Perhaps between ordinary couples, vows of eternal love and sharing life and death together were just some romantic words of love. But for people like Yang Chun and 17 who grew up together in a pile of corpses and experienced unimaginable hardships, they could still be together in the end and even gave birth to a fruit of love. This kind of relationship was unforgettable, fusing into their bones and blood. It was truly a relationship that could be protected with everything, including life. Therefore, this also made Yang Chung particularly angry. If it weren't for her temperament being restrained in the past 2 or 3 years, Minwan would already be a dead person. All the bones in his body were cracking. Yang Chung controlled his hand and slowly retracted the prayer beads. He looked at the tearful Minwan and asked, "Tell me, what's your reason?" Minwan felt as if she was pardoned. She wiped her tears and kowtowed to Yang Chung 3 times. Then she choked and said, "Mr. Yang, you're not an ordinary person. I've stayed in this house for a long time, so I can naturally feel it. You're the same as Master. Both of you are like gods. I'm just a peasant woman from a small village in the countryside. I definitely don't have the guts to go against you." "Humph," Yang Chung sneered. "You don't have enough guts? If I didn't encounter a disaster and coincidentally found my uncle, I'm afraid that I'll be kept in the dark by a peasant woman like you for the rest of my life." Minwan shook her head vigorously. "No, Mr. Yang, please listen to me. What I did was wrong, but I did it for the sake of the family. For the sake of Mr. Yang, Mrs. Yang, and Lan Lan. The 3 of us can live a good life together." Yang Chung frowned. "Don't try to fool me with a few words. Do you think I'm so easy to fool? I, Minwan, wouldn't dare to do it even if I have 3 heads and 6 arms." Minwan cried and complained, "I'm just a woman who only went to primary school for a few years. I'm farming in the countryside. What's in it for me to deliberately deceive Mr. Yang?" There was a ripple in Yang Cheng's heart. Minjuan's words were right. Yang Chung was also puzzled. Hiding all this from Minwan didn't seem to have any interest in it. "Then why did you do it?" Yang Chung asked. Minwan tried to calm down and said slowly, "I don't dare to hide it from you. To be honest, the letter that Master gave me was accidentally torn because of my carelessness. I wanted to change the envelope at that time so that you wouldn't think that I peeked at the contents, but I couldn't hold it back at that time. While I put the new envelope in, I still looked at the contents." Seeing Yang Cheng's cold expression, Minwan waved her hand desperately and said, "Mr. Yang, I was just too concerned about where Master went. He's my savior, my benefactor. I thought that there might be some clues in the letter, but it turned out to be information about Lanlin's background and a few words that I didn't understand. Where are the letter and dagger?" Yang Chung asked with a blank expression. Minwan suddenly remembered. She got up and ran to the wardrobe. She opened the wardrobe and rummaged through it. Finally, she found 2 items in a small black plastic bag at the bottom. When Minwan handed the 2 items to Yang Chung with trembling hands, an indescribable pain and nostalgia flashed through Yang Cheng's eyes. His eyes were fixed on the dagger. His eyes were red and he couldn't speak. This was a small military dagger wrapped in blue cloth. It was sharp and cold. There were 3 blood grooves on it. The blood grooves were dark red that was difficult to erase. After many years of killing, some parts of the dagger had small nicks that couldn't be hidden, which added a bit of killing intent. It was a dagger that wasn't considered precious, but it caused Yang Chen's eyes to flash with a face that was getting further away from him. Her figure was always as monotonous and lonely as the dagger. This was the weapon that the woman always carried with her. The beauty was gone, leaving behind an empty weapon. Chapter 1347. Yang Chung took a deep breath, held back the tears in his eyes, and opened the envelope in his hand. There was no writing on the envelope. Minwan probably didn't dare to write blindly after changing it. When he took out the letter inside, Yang Chung glanced at it and found that the content was indeed not much different from what Song Tianqing said to him. It was about 17 in Lan Lan. At the end, he also added 2 broken sentences of endless resolve restoration scripture to confirm his identity. When you read this, you should know that I am Lan Lan's biological father. Why didn't you tell me? Yang Chung asked. Min Wan smiled bitterly. It is because I know the truth that I dare not say it and give you the letter. Why? Yang Chung frowned. Min Wan sighed and said, Mr. Yang, before I met you, I had been following Master and taking care of Lan Lan for more than a year. To put it bluntly, I treated Lan Lan as my own daughter, but Lan Lan kept asking for her parents. We followed Master to travel all over the country. Although Master also loved Lan Lan very much, every time Lan Lan saw other children accompanied by their parents, the longing in her eyes made my heart sour. It hurt so much that I wanted to cry. Lan Lan is too unsociable. She is much stronger than other children. She is too unique. The more intelligent and powerful a person is, especially when she is still a child, she is actually very lonely. It's fine if it's a child from an ordinary family, but Lan Lan doesn't even have parents. She can't even get the most basic parental care of a child. She doesn't even know if her parents are still alive. Listening to Min Wan's words, Yang Cheng's nose couldn't help but feel a little sour. His heart was stuffy, and he couldn't breathe. Mr. Yang, remember when I first met you? Lan Lan was at the door of the orphanage, quietly looking at Miss Lin. Do you know how happy Lan Lan was that night? She said that she had found her mother, but she was afraid that her mother wouldn't like her and would leave her. A child's face was full of grievances, which made my heart ache. Fortunately, Miss Lin and Lan Lan hit it off. After the first time, they became familiar with each other. She wanted to accept Lan Lan, which made Lan Lan very happy. It was the first time I saw Lan Lan reveal such a satisfied expression. This was something I couldn't give her as a nanny. I also knew that Miss Lin only looked like Lan Lan's birth mother. However, as a woman, I could feel that Miss Lin truly cared about Lan Lan. She truly loved this child. There is nothing more precious than true love. At first, even Lan Lan's sleep was messy. She didn't like to sleep at all, but once she met Miss Lin, she obediently slept very well. I think it's because children are very on-sheen when they are by their mother's side. Yang Cheng's eyes were hazy, and he couldn't help but reveal a faint satisfied smile. Thinking of the chubby little girl lying on the bed, sleeping and drooling, the love in his heart was also warm. Min Wan sniffed and continued, Mr. Yang, although I haven't been in this house for a long time, I'm really grateful to you, Miss Lin, Madame Gua, Mother Wang, and other beautiful girls who often come to our house. You didn't treat me with the attitude of a peasant woman in the countryside. You gave me self-esteem and made me feel that I'm a part of this family. I'm really grateful to you even in my dreams. Because of this, I hope that all of you can live a good life. If there is a huge conflict because of some things, and we end up parting on bad terms, it will be a huge blow to the family and to Lan Lan. I know that Miss Lin isn't willing to accept those other girls, but they are sincere to you, so they can't cut off these relationships in a short time. Mr. Yang usually coaxes her like this. It should be because he wants to slowly stabilize this family through time so that Miss Lin can really accept them. I know that it's inevitable for a man like Mr. Yang to be popular with women. How can a beautiful woman like the weak? Not to mention in ancient times, even now, powerful men often have several rooms. Yang Chung was ashamed for a while. This woman from the countryside is really straightforward. Although her words are rough, she can't say it so directly. It made Yang Chung a little embarrassed. I, Min Wan, am a nobody. I don't know much. What I care about is that Lan Lan can grow up well, have the love of her parents, and have the company of her family. I also have my selfishness. I don't want to go back to the countryside. The in-laws are a nightmare for me. I also want to stay in this family and be like Mother Wang. It's enough to be a loyal servant for this family for a lifetime. What's more, I already know that Mr. Yang is Lan Lan's biological father, so Lan Lan has a real relative. If Lin Ruoshi knows the truth and has a grudge against this matter, isn't it increasing the burden of the whole family? Min Wan wiped the corner of her eyes. Yang Chung probably understood Min Wan's meaning. In this way, it makes sense. Indeed, if Lan Lan is the child of other women, it won't be too serious. However, Lan Lan is the child left by 17. Lin Ruoshi was very clear that 17 was the only woman she had to compete with. This woman could be said to have absolutely affected Yang Cheng's life. Originally, 17 had left forever, but the appearance of Lan Lan seemed to make 17's shadow always lingering between them. In terms of love, Lin Ruoshi was emotional. She couldn't turn a blind eye. She could temporarily tolerate other women as lovers in Yang Cheng's heart, but she wouldn't tolerate Yang Cheng treating another woman as his true love. Yang Cheng himself couldn't guarantee that when he looked at Lan Lan, he would always think of 17 in his heart. This was undoubtedly a sarcasm to Lin Ruoshi. If he never got this letter, then everything that happened next wouldn't be any trouble. He would happily raise this chubby little girl as his own daughter. But now, he knew the identity of Lan Lan. How could he bear to let 17 in the underworld be bitterly disappointed? How could he let his own flesh and blood not know that he was her biological father? Even if he didn't say it now, if Lin Ruoshi found out that he already knew and lied to her in the future, he would probably be even more hurt. That time, Mr. Yang, when you came back from Australia, it was about a month after the old master left. At that time, I almost wanted to say that the old master left behind 2 keepsakes. At that time, Mr. Yang, you even asked me if I had something to say, but I didn't say it. I really didn't dare and couldn't bear to say it. Minwan sighed. Yang Cheng stood where he was. He still remembered that scene, but he didn't pay much attention to it at that time. Now that he thought about it, it was a little ridiculous. After standing there for a long time, Yang Cheng signaled Minwan to get up and put the dagger and the letter into his spatial ring. Don't tell anyone about this without my permission, Yang Cheng ordered. Minwan nodded vigorously. She wouldn't dare to do it, even if she borrowed the courage of a bear. Yang Cheng felt that his mind was in a mess. He couldn't figure it out at all. There were too many things involved in this matter. Family, love, and conscience were all huge challenges. When they walked downstairs, Mother Wang noticed that Yang Cheng didn't seem to be in a good mood, so she asked with concern what was wrong. Yang Cheng casually said a few perfunctory words and went out the door. He told Mother Wang that she would only be back after the new year, and that if there was anything, she could contact him directly. The flight was booked at night. Yang Cheng hesitated for a moment, but he didn't go to find An Xin, Xiao Qi-Ching, and the other girls to worry, because Yang Cheng didn't want to vent his negative emotions on these innocent women. From the garage, Yang Cheng took out the BMW X6 that he hadn't driven for a long time and went straight to Old Li and his wife's house. On the way, he made a call, and the person who picked up was Old Li. When he heard that it was Yang Cheng, Old Li couldn't help but scold him jokingly. "Little Yang, you're not giving me face. It's already the new year, yet you don't have any New Year goods. Do you still want my daughter to follow you?" Now that Old Li's family's living conditions were many times better than before, and Li Jingjing was often by their side, she didn't complain about Yang Cheng as much anymore. Yang Cheng smiled bitterly. "Don't I have to go over and drink with my father-in-law? Prepare the food and wine. If it's not enough, I'll buy some cooked food for you." Old Li didn't think too much about it. He called his wife to cook a few more dishes and told Yang Cheng to hurry over. The car drove to Old Li's apartment. Just as Yang Cheng was about to get off the car, he glanced at the scene downstairs. He was stunned and frowned. Chapter 1348. A silver-gray Ferrari 458 appeared from the opposite corner. With the beautiful sound of the engine pulsating, it slowly stopped in front of the apartment. After the door opened, Li Jingjing's figure gracefully walked out from the front passenger seat. She was wearing a blue-green, European-style, wide-patterned sweater with a checkered shirt inside. The collar was flipped out from the round collar, and a pair of tight, light-colored denim trousers outlined a pair of slender and beautiful legs. There was a subtle and gentle smile on her fresh face with light makeup. The woman inadvertently revealed a trace of sweetness and subtle refinement, which was fascinating. Yang Cheng hadn't seen Li Jingjing for a while. After being nourished by the rain and dew, she had turned from a young girl into a real woman. The original, inexperienced flavor gradually evolved into the present urban beauty with the unique freshness of an academic. As if she was thanking the driver, Li Jingjing waved at the man and closed the door. She was eager to go upstairs. However, the man in the driver's seat didn't seem to want to stop there. After he got out of the car, he called out to Li Jingjing and asked her something. Seeing all this, Yang Cheng had already guessed that it was most likely another rich man chasing after a beauty. Although he didn't think that Li Jingjing was a fickle woman, the feeling of seeing his woman being pursued by someone else in front of him was very uncomfortable. Yang Cheng never thought of himself as a generous man, especially when it came to women's possessiveness. He couldn't tolerate the slightest bit of sand. After getting out of the car and locking the door, Yang Cheng strutted to the place where Li Jingjing and the man were talking. At this time, he could clearly see that the man was also handsome. He looked less than 30 years old and was about 183 meters tall. He was half a head taller than Yang Cheng. He was wearing a black Versace suit, and his hair was combed 3 to 7 times. He wore shiny leather shoes, and there was a hint of heroic spirit between his eyebrows. His physique was also strong. He should have been exercising for a long time and was not a pure rich man's toy boy. In terms of appearance, Yang Cheng, who was wearing casual sportswear and a pair of sneakers, was really not as good as him. Director Meng, it's really not convenient today. How about I treat you to a meal another day? I'm really sorry. Li Jingjing tactfully refused the man. This young bureau chief Meng maintained a gentle and elegant smile. Why would it be inconvenient? Jingjing, this isn't the first time I've met Uncle and Auntie. I'm just curious what kind of person could make you rush back from work. You've never been like this before when you worked overtime. Li Jingjing was about to explain something when she saw Yang Cheng walking towards her. Her eyes lit up and she happily shouted, Yang Cheng. Yang Cheng walked forward silently, ignoring Director Meng's scrutinizing gaze, and went straight to Li Jingjing. Suddenly, Yang Cheng stepped forward and hugged Li Jingjing's soft waist. Before Li Jingjing could react, he lowered his head and kissed the woman's pink lips. The bag in Li Jingjing's hand almost fell to the ground in fright. After she reacted, she was embarrassed and happy. She immediately understood that the man was a little jealous. However, this overbearing way of expressing it with action made her unable to hide the joy in her heart. Yang Cheng rudely cracked open Li Jingjing's pearly white teeth, causing her fragrant tongue to have nowhere to escape. He sucked the faint fragrance inside and crushed the soft bed. On the side, Chief Meng's face was ashen. This man didn't put him in his eyes at all. Li Jingjing's initial shyness was slowly becoming intoxicated. It was clear that she was full of love for this man. He had already found the reason why he couldn't capture the beauty's heart after such a long time. However, when he found out that he lost to such a man, he was simply burning with anger. Fortunately, he had been an official for the past 2 years, and his control had improved a lot. Otherwise, he would have directly run over this bumpkin with his car. After a full 4 or 5 minutes, Yang Cheng let go of Li Jingjing's red lips and kissed her forehead. He smiled wickedly as if he had just thought of something and asked, Jingjing baby, who is this man? Li Jingjing panted and looked at him resentfully. She pursed her somewhat numb lips and said, He is the deputy director of our education bureau, Mr. Meng Zhixin. I just received a call from my dad saying that you were coming, so I rushed back. However, it is difficult to get a taxi during the new year, so he specially sent me back. Deputy director? The deputy director of Zhonghai City's education bureau was at the level of a deputy director. This guy was so young. How could he be a deputy director? Yang Cheng didn't believe that he didn't have any background. He was just an official who dared to drive a Ferrari 458, which was worth 4 or 5 million yuan, through the city. How could he not have a strong background? However, Yang Cheng didn't care about his background. Anyway, he just needed to stay far away from his woman. Is this Mr. Yang Cheng the boyfriend that Jingjing has been talking about? Meng Zhixin asked with an ambiguous tone. Not boyfriend, Yang Cheng corrected. He is her man. Oh, you guys are married? Meng Zhixin asked. He had actually investigated 3 generations of Li Jingjing's ancestors. Li Jingjing could be said to be a model of purity. With her beauty, she didn't even have a boyfriend in university. This question poked at Yang Cheng's soft spot. He looked at Li Jingjing in his arms and said seriously, "We are not married, but I will love her until she doesn't love me anymore." Li Jingjing raised her head and wanted to laugh. She looked at Yang Cheng and was touched. She thought to herself, how could she give up the love that she had spent so long to get? Haha, Mr. Yang must be joking. Since we are not married, everyone has the right to pursue beauties. I don't want Mr. Yang to be rude and disturb my pursuit of Jingjing. It's fate that we met today, and I don't want to make things unpleasant. I still have some business to deal with, so I will leave first. I hope we will have a chance to meet again. Meng Zhixin smiled at Yang Cheng. Jingjing, say hello to Uncle and Annie for me. I will visit again in 2 days. At that time, don't stop me from going upstairs. That will hurt my self-esteem. After saying that, Meng Zhixin turned around and sat back in the supercar. After starting the car, he stepped on the roaring engine and disappeared from the corridor downstairs in the blink of an eye. Yang Cheng was already depressed. After hearing Meng Zhixin's words, he had the urge to chase after the car and smash it. However, the less trouble, the better. Yang Chen wasn't stupid to the point of acting like an idiot. He only asked unhappily, "Jingjing, has this guy been chasing you for a long time?" Li Jingjing stuck out her pink tongue and said, "I can't help it. He is the leader of the bureau. If he wants to chase me, I can't resist very fiercely. This will make everyone unhappy. At that time, it was my mother who helped me get in through the back door. I can't be too ignorant. This is not a problem. If he is very annoying, I will think of a way to change your department," Yang Cheng said directly. Li Jingjing shook her head. "No, I like my current job. It is suitable for my major and interests. Besides, it is hard to guarantee that there will be more people pestering me if I go to other places. It is better in the Education Bureau. There is only Director Meng. The others don't dare to come." Yang Cheng sighed in his heart. As long as Li Jingjing was not married, there would definitely be no lack of pursuers. This was unavoidable unless she was no longer in society. It was impossible for him to kill all the other men in the world. This was not realistic, so he had to endure some things. As if to make Yang Cheng feel more at ease, Li Jingjing stood on her tiptoes and rubbed her delicate face against Yang Cheng's chin. "All right, dear Yang Cheng, you know that I can't have anything to do with him. I will just deal with him. A young master like him doesn't have much patience. After a long time, he will naturally lose interest in me. There are plenty of beauties out there, and he is just on a whim. After a while, it might fade away. Moreover, he might be promoted and transferred to another place. What background does he have? At such a young age, a deputy director level? Even a deputy director level is a bit too much." Yang Cheng thought of it and asked with a frown. Li Jingjing also had a face of ignorance. "I'm not sure, but some people in the bureau said that Director Meng's father is a high-ranking official in the province. Their family background is very deep, and even the director has to be courteous to him." Yang Cheng secretly guessed that this was also the case. From the looks of it, there wouldn't be any problems at the moment, so he warned Li Jingjing to immediately report to him if anything happened. Li Jingjing was secretly delighted by the man's jealous expression. She saluted and repeatedly shouted, "Yes, sir." Only then did Yang Cheng carry the woman upstairs. Old Li had already opened the door and was waiting for the two of them to enter. Chapter 1349. As soon as he entered the house, the aroma of cooking assailed his nostrils. Old Li was in high spirits, much healthier than when he used to set up a stall on the street. This had a lot to do with the low-grade pills Yang Cheng gave him. Seeing Yang Cheng, Old Li asked him to sit down quickly and patted him on the shoulder. He whispered, "I saw it all. Little Yang, you have to hurry up. My Jingjing is very popular." Old Li was naturally talking about Meng Zhixin driving people downstairs. Li Jingjing heard it and said coquettishly, "Dad, why are you talking about this? There's nothing between me and Director Meng." Yang Cheng asked attentively, "That guy always sends Jingjing? Not only do they send it often, they also come up to chat with us, the old couple, twice. The cordyceps in Mao Dai are all worth tens of thousands of yuan. We are used to living a poor life, so we don't dare to accept them." Old Li waved his hand. Yang Cheng was a little embarrassed. His son-in-law had never given her these things before. He patted his chest and said, What's so good about those things? What I'm giving you is a miraculous pill. That's the real thing that can protect your body and prolong your life. How can those junk things of his compare? Oldly laughed in a low voice. Little Yang, we're already this old. In fact, no matter how good the things are, they won't last more than a few years. But since Jingjing is with you, you can't always watch her come back in someone else's car. Can you? Yang Qing understood something. Old Li's meaning couldn't be more obvious. If Li Jingjing had her own car, would she need to take someone else's? Yang Cheng also patted his forehead. Why didn't he think of this before? Wouldn't it be better to give Li Jingjing a car earlier? Although Li Jingjing had found a good job now, she couldn't buy a car in a short time. She had to take a taxi to and from work, which gave Meng Zhixin an opportunity. Thinking of this, Yang Cheng immediately took out his mobile phone, found a Mercedes-Benz exclusive phone number, and directly ordered a SLK 350 sports car. Including the various services, it only cost more than 1,000,000 yuan. The tens of millions earned from selling pills to Park Chion was enough for Yang Cheng to spend for a long time without having to withdraw money from his overseas account. When Old Li saw that Yang Cheng gave a car to his daughter so readily, he smiled even more happily. This couldn't be blamed on the old man's materialism. After all, his daughter was already a lover. If she was still in a pinch, it would be too much of a loss. Which parent didn't want their children to live a good life? Li Jingjing didn't really care about these things, but seeing that Yang Cheng and her father insisted, she was happy to accept. As long as the car was given by Yang Cheng, it didn't matter to her whether it was good or bad. When Li Jingjing's mother finished cooking, the whole family sat down. Li Jingjing poured wine for the old man and the young man, and they drank happily. Little Yang, didn't you say you were going back to Beijing for Chinese New Year? Why are you back in Zhonghai all of a sudden? Old Li asked with a flushed face. With a bowl of wine in one hand and a spring roll in the other, Yang Cheng let out a long sigh and said, I came back to deal with some matters. Now that I've figured it out, I feel annoyed. When I'm annoyed, I want to find someone to drink with. It's better to drink with an old friend like you. Hee. I'm your father-in-law now. Isn't it a generation lower to be friends? Old Li waved his hand. All right, stop pretending. Let me tell you, your daughter is really lucky to be with me. Which son-in-law can make his father-in-law so lively? Believe it or not, I'll get a few more pills in the future and let you two have more babies. What babies? Do you think it's a sow giving birth? Old Li scolded with a smile. Mother Li and Li Jingjing were listening on the side. Both mother and daughter blushed. It was true that men who were drunk could say anything. Yang Cheng chuckled. Aren't you going to ask me what's bothering me? Old Li shook his head. I know even if you don't tell me. It's nothing but family matters. Otherwise, you wouldn't be so troubled. This kind of matter can only be handled by your family. After all, we're outsiders. I can only drink with you, and after a few glasses, I'm going to take an afternoon nap. Yang Chun clicked his tongue. He was a little speechless at this irresponsible father-in-law. However, he didn't expect Old Li to help him with anything. He was really here to drink a glass of wine and talk a little to relieve his boredom. Li Jingjing asked with concern, Yang Cheng, is there anything I can help you with? Yang Cheng shook his head with a smile. Jingjing, don't think too much. No one can help me with this. I'll fly back to Beijing tonight and take care of it. Hearing the man say so, Li Jingjing didn't ask anymore and continued to pour wine for the two of them. After lunch, Old Li really fell asleep. Li Jingjing's mother wasn't surprised. She dragged her husband to the sofa and covered him with a quilt. Yang Chun drank more than half a kilo of sorghum, and his face was slightly red from the wine. He laid on the sofa and watched TV for a while. When he saw Li Jingjing pouring tea for him, his heart started to burn, and he couldn't help but feel itchy. Yang Chun hugged the woman's waist from behind and buried his head next to Li Jingjing's neck. With the smell of alcohol in his breath, he asked with a smile, Jingjing babe, how's your practice recently? Li Jingjing blushed and glanced at her mother, who was washing the dishes in the kitchen. I haven't fallen behind. I feel much better. I don't know what level I've reached, but my true qi seems to be much thicker than before. Let me check you. Let's go to your room. Li Jingjing didn't believe that this guy wanted to check her cultivation, but she couldn't resist the man's hot breath. Her body began to soften, and she reluctantly entered the bedroom. After locking the door, Yang Cheng pushed the woman onto the bed and pressed his whole body on top of her. It was a winter afternoon, and the room was warm as if spring had arrived. In the office of the deputy director of Zhonghai Education Bureau. It wasn't supposed to be a day for work since it was the new year tomorrow. However, as the new leader, Meng Zhixin took the lead and came to work overtime. It wasn't a big deal for Meng Zhixin. It was worth it to work overtime and win a good reputation. It was a good material for a rising official like him. But Meng Zhixin felt uncomfortable working overtime in the afternoon. The scene of Yang Chun kissing Li Jingjing kept flashing in his mind. His face darkened from time to time, making him look ferocious. He thought that Li Jingjing was lying to him when she said she was his boyfriend. He thought that she was just shy, but he wasn't in a hurry. A woman who knew how to resist was worth his time. However, he didn't expect that there was indeed such a person. Furthermore, this guy didn't take him seriously and had French kissed that woman right in front of him. How despicable. However, he wasn't a rational person. You can't judge a book by its cover. Meng Zhixin even memorized the license plate of Yang Cheng's BMW after learning the man's name. Meng Zhixin smiled when he received a call. It seemed that they had found something. Meng Zhixin picked up the phone and asked, "Chief Wang, did you find anything?" Because the license plate of the car was from Su Province, Meng Zhixin called Chief Wang of Su Province's Public Security Bureau. Chief Wang smiled and said, "Chief Meng, yes. The license plate is from Su Province, and it used to belong to the Gao family of the Giant Whale Society. But before the Giant Whale Society was eliminated, they gave it to the man named Yang Cheng. He's the husband of Yulei International CEO, Lin Ruoshi. There's nothing else. He just came back from abroad, and his resume is blank. He used to be the director of Yulei International's entertainment branch." "What about his family background?" Chief Wang said, "I can't find anything. I think he's an orphan. He was separated from his parents when he was 5 years old and was brought abroad by human traffickers. He was adopted by a kind couple. He's 23 years old and graduated from Harvard University in the U.S. with a master's degree in marketing. He returned to China the same year. That's all. In fact, with Director Wang's rank, he didn't have the right to know the information that was only recorded in the National Security Bureau. Yang Chen's fake information was exactly the same as when Yang Chen first met Kai Yan. Especially for a special person like Yang Chen, it was even more impossible for him to easily change it and expose too much information. Meng Zhixin thought for a while and hung up after thanking Chief Wang. He hadn't been in Zhonghai for long, but he knew that Yulei International was one of the top companies in Zhonghai. It was also one of the few fashion companies in China that had branches in all the continents. Tens of billions in assets was no joke. However, this wasn't a big deal to Meng Zhixin. In his eyes, these big companies were just paper tigers. The lack of capital would affect the company's overall operations. Any government intervention could cause them to go bankrupt. And with his strength, he had the ability to make Yulei suffer. What interested him now was that Yang Cheng was the husband of Yulei International CEO. Although he didn't know why Lin Ruoshi would fall for such a guy, it would be interesting if the husband of the CEO of Yulei International was exposed for having a mistress. The more Meng Zhixin thought about it, the more interested he felt. With a gloating expression, Meng Zhixin picked up his phone and dialed Yulei International's number. "Hello, this is the headquarters of Yulei International. How can I help you?" Soon, the sweet voice of the receptionist came through the phone. "I'm Meng Zhixin, Deputy Chief of the Education Bureau. I need to contact your CEO, Lin Ruoshi. It's very important. Please help me." Chapter 1350. The receptionist was not someone to be trifled with. There were many people who wanted to talk to Lin Zhixin. They either wanted to sell the patent of a super invention or wanted to cooperate with a big financial group. Some even wanted to meet the nephew of a leader. Some even wanted to impersonate the president of a small country. The receptionist asked more questions. "Deputy Director Meng, can you provide more detailed information to confirm your identity?" "It's about her husband, Yang Cheng. Her husband drives a BMW with the license plate number YCMB. You can confirm it. I'll give you 1 minute. If you don't contact me, you'll be responsible for it, Meng Zhixin said coldly. It was the first time the receptionist met someone who talked about the chairman's husband. Yang Cheng was a celebrity in the company and had won the hearts of many girls when he held an outdoor concert in the square. After a careful check, Yang Chen's information was indeed as such. The receptionist didn't dare to delay any longer and immediately transferred the call to Zhao Hongyan. Although Zhao Hongyan was no longer Lin Ruoshi's assistant, she still managed the communication channel with Lin Ruoshi. Zhao Hongyan wanted to know more about Yang Cheng, but she didn't want to arouse suspicion. She just confirmed that Meng Zhixin was in the Ministry of Education and told him his phone number. Lin Ruoshi was contacting the director of a TV station in Beijing. She was making the final preparations for Hui Lin's comeback, but a strange number came through halfway. Lin Ruoshi frowned and ignored it. She continued to talk to the director of the TV station, but the phone was still ringing. It was from Zhonghai. Lin Ruoshi hesitated for a while before picking up the call. Is this Chairman Lin from Yulei International? It was an unfamiliar male voice on the other end of the phone. Lin Ruoshi nodded faintly, admitting it. I'm Meng Zhixin, the Deputy Director of the Ministry of Education in Zhonghai. I have something to tell Chairman Lin about your husband, Yang Cheng. Lin Ruoshi was stunned. She had never thought that someone would call her about Yang Cheng. How did this man get involved with the Deputy Director of the Ministry of Education? Go ahead, Lin Ruoshi said. Meng Zhixin smiled. There's a civil servant in our bureau called Li Jingjing who has an unusual relationship with Mr. Yang Cheng. It's a threat to the Education Bureau's reputation. If this gets out of hand, it'll bring shame to Chairman Lin and Yulei International. Lin Ruoshi's heart contracted violently. She felt cold all the way to her bones. She felt as if she was being threatened, humiliated, and oppressed, but she was powerless to resist or refute. She had the urge to sit on the ground. After taking a deep breath, Lin Ruoshi tried to calm herself down, but strangely, no sound came out of her throat. Her eyes were burning, as if tears of grievance were about to fall out uncontrollably. Chairman Lin, are you there? Meng Zhixin asked. Lin Ruoshi covered her chest with her trembling hands. I know. After saying that, Lin Ruoshi hung up the phone. She didn't know what kind of voice she would make if she continued speaking. She didn't know what else she could say. She knew her husband had a mistress outside, but she needed someone to tell her. What was funny was that she knew there was more than one mistress. What was even more funny was that she had been with them for a long time, and everything seemed so natural to her. Lin Ruoshi couldn't understand her own thoughts. Since when did she become so muddle-headed? She didn't know why her soul became so different from hers. Lin Ruoshi rushed into the bathroom and splashed cold water on her face. She raised her head and looked at her own face in the mirror, letting the water droplets drip on her face. Her beautiful eyes were shining, and her eyelashes were long and curly. But Lin Ruoshi couldn't see her own face in her mirror-like eyes. Lin Ruoshi didn't know why, but the nightmares that she had been having these days started to surface in her mind again. The nightmares that woke her up in the middle of the night seemed to be telling her something at this moment. The door of the room was pushed open. Lan Lan, who was wearing a white sleeveless top and a blue pleated skirt, ran in happily with 2 skewers of Yinjing's special candied haws in her hands. Seeing Lin Ruoshi in the bathroom, she called out Mommy sweetly and handed a skewer of candied haws to Lin Ruoshi. Grandma bought this for Lan Lan. Eat one for Mommy. The chubby little girl looked reluctant, but she still gave it to Lin Ruoshi firmly. Lin Ruoshi's cold eyes were filled with warmth and tenderness again. She squatted down and touched her daughter's soft mushroom head. She smiled and shook her head. Mommy won't eat it. Lan Lan can eat it. It's delicious, Lan Lan said seriously, her chubby face full of expectation. Lin Ruoshi smiled and took a bite. Mommy can eat one. Lan Lan can eat the rest. It's sour and makes Mommy's teeth uncomfortable. Lan Lan didn't say anything more and happily ran out to find other people to play with. She had already regarded the Yang mansion as her own home and had become the joy of the whole mansion. Looking at her daughter's petite back, Lin Ruoshi couldn't bear to close her eyes, and a few tears fell down. She didn't know if it was because of the sour candied haws or her heart. But before Lin Ruoshi could think too much, her phone rang again. It was the director of Yu Lei Entertainment's Beijing branch, Zhuang Feng. Chairman, the premiere is ready for the day after tomorrow. We can discuss the specific performance plan after Yumin picks Miss Lin Hui up from the airport. Lin Ruoshi calmed herself down and asked calmly, "What time will Lin Hui arrive at Beijing airport?" 8 at night. We've already sent people. No need. Lin Ruoshi interrupted Zhuang Feng and said, "I'll pick my sister up myself. I haven't seen her for a long time. You can arrange for someone else to go somewhere else." The chairman wanted to pick her up personally, so Zhuang Feng didn't dare to stop him. He agreed obediently and hung up. Since Yang Cheng didn't tell his family that he was going to Zhonghai, Lin Ruoshi didn't know that Yang Cheng would arrive at the airport at night. Otherwise, he wouldn't have picked her up. Lin Ruoshi didn't want him to think that she was going to pick him up because she was so angry that her heart was about to bleed. Lin Ruoshi didn't want to tell Yang Cheng about what Meng Zhixin said. Knowing his temper, he would definitely seek revenge for the slightest mistake. Who knew? At least, Lin Ruoshi didn't think that Meng Zhixin was wrong. Her husband was indeed in an unconventional relationship with Li Jingjing. How could she take revenge on him? He told her that it was a threat, but to put it nicely, he was probably reminding her that she was being fooled. Lin Ruoshi tried to calm herself down. She thought that she would talk to Yang Cheng slowly after he returned to Beijing. She shouldn't let Guo Xuehua and the other elders know about this, in case they thought that she was being selfish and used an outsider to pressure Yang Cheng. Lin Ruoshi felt that it was difficult to do anything. It seemed that family matters were more difficult to deal with in the turbulent waves in a business world. She felt like her head was about to explode. At the same time, her resentment, anger, and annoyance towards Yang Cheng filled her heart, making her feel uncomfortable. Gritting her teeth, Lin Ruoshi shook off the unhappiness in her mind and picked up her phone to contact other work. Chapter 1351. At night, Lin Ruoshi didn't have much of an appetite. After a casual meal, she got up and planned to pick Hui Lin up personally. The Yang family didn't object to it. After all, although Lin Ruoshi wasn't related to the Lin family by blood, they had been friends for over 20 years. This relationship couldn't be broken just like that. Lan Lan heard that her small aunt was coming, so she coquettishly asked to go with her. Lin Ruoshi couldn't dissuade her daughter, so she placed Lan Lan in the back seat of the car, and they went together. Lin Ruoshi arrived at the arrival hall of Beijing Airport. Seeing that it was about time, she walked to the exit and lowered her fringe to cover her face. It couldn't be helped, otherwise her appearance would still be too eye-catching. Originally, with Hui Lin's popularity, she was supposed to go through the VIP channel. However, she wanted to surprise her fans with her comeback, so she didn't dare to make a big fuss about her return to Beijing. Therefore, she only sat in business class and wore sunglasses and a mask to avoid being exposed. After waiting for about 10 minutes, as a large group of passengers walked out, Lin Ruoshi's eyes lit up. She finally saw a familiar figure. A loose vintage red and blue checkered sweater, a gray knee-length skirt, and light-colored embroidered stockings. Her slender legs didn't show off her figure, but it was a comfortable and pleasant combination. Hui Lin was wearing a dark red wide-brimmed lady's hat, a pair of sunglasses, and a white mask. She walked out with a small suitcase. Although others couldn't recognize her, Lin Ruoshi recognized her at first glance. Small aunt. Lan Lan sharply sensed that it was Hui Lin, so she greeted her sweetly. Hui Lin and her manager, Yumin, looked over. They were surprised to see that the person who came to pick them up was really Lin Ruoshi. Seeing that no one was paying attention to her, Hui Lin quickened her steps and came to Lin Ruoshi. Although she was embarrassed because of Yang Cheng, she couldn't hide her joy. "Sister, you're really here. Actually, you could have asked someone from the company to pick you up. I'm sorry to trouble you," Hui Lin said guiltily. "It's nothing. I haven't seen you in a long time. Plus, you've been through so many dangerous things. I want to see you sooner." "Lan Lan misses you too," said Lin Ruoshi with a smile. Hui Lin knew that Lin Ruoshi was talking about the 10,000 demon realm. Once she mentioned it, Hui Lin felt even more embarrassed, touched, and guilty. Now that he saw Lan Lan again, he already knew that she was Yang Cheng's biological daughter. Naturally, his feelings towards her were different from before. She knew that Lin Ruoshi definitely didn't know about it. She sighed in her heart. She didn't know when Brother Yang would say it. She didn't know if sister could bear it. But at this moment, Hui Lin didn't dare to think too much. She reached out and hugged Lon Lon and kissed the chubby little girl's face. Come, let in hug you. Ah, Lon Lon, why did you become heavier again? Did you eat a lot of delicious food? Lon Lon immediately shook her head hard. No, Lon Lon is very obedient. Mom won't let Lon Lon eat until she's full. If others heard this, they would definitely think that Lin Ruoshi's parent was abusing her child. But Hui Lin also knew that if Lon Lon ate until she was full every time, it would be too much of a waste of food. It would be too shocking, so it was understandable. But when Yumin heard these words, she felt weird. She thought that Chairman Lin was indeed a person who did great things. She was so cold-hearted to her daughter. She even controlled the amount of food she ate to maintain her figure. Lin Ruoshi didn't like outsiders to listen to their sister's conversation. She said to Yumin in a faint tone, "You drive back yourself. I'll send Hui Lin back." Yumin's nerves tightened and she smiled respectfully. "Chairman, I'm already very grateful that you're here. It's not good to trouble you like this. I said I'll send you back. Do you want me to repeat it again?" Lin Ruoshi's eyes turned cold. She hated this kind of flatterer who didn't know how to find the right time to flatter. Yumin instantly felt a chill down her spine. She quivered and quickly grabbed her bag with a pale face. She smiled awkwardly and left. She was afraid that she would be fired in another 3 seconds. That would be ridiculous. Although Hui Lin found it funny that Yumin was so scared, she was very envious of Lin Ruoshi's prestige. Everyone in the company, regardless of gender or age, treated her like the Jade Emperor. That could be seen from Yumin's way of bowing. This might be the charisma of a person. She was born to be a navigator and a leader. With her weak character, she would never have this kind of charisma in this lifetime. She could only sing and perform on the platform. Let's go. I've already contacted your grandma. I'll send you home first before going to the company for a night meeting. After all, time is tight. You'll be very busy tomorrow and the day after, Lin Ruoshi said as she carried Lon Lon back. Hui Lin caught up with her and replied softly, "Sister, do you really think I can do it? Will everyone hate me? As long as you sing well and act in a good movie, you'll be the queen of music and best actress." The rumors in the entertainment industry can be reversed by spending money on the media. It's impossible to make everyone love you. As long as everyone knows you, you'll be successful. In the end, you still have to rely on your work. I have confidence in you. Lin Ruoshi blinked at Hui Lin awkwardly. I didn't just spend 1 or 200 million. I've spent at least 2 or 3 billion on the entertainment company. Do you have the heart to let this business of mine collapse? Although I have a lot of money, I don't want to lose money like this. I want to rely on you to support the backbone of the entire Yulei Entertainment Company. Hui Lin knew that Lin Ruoshi was encouraging her. However, the more she supported her, the more uncomfortable Hui Lin felt. She wished that Lin Ruoshi would scold her so that she would feel better. However, Hui Lin really wanted to do her job well. At least, she couldn't let down Lin Ruoshi's trust in her career. The two sisters chatted as they walked toward the parking lot. When they were near the international exit terminal, Lin Ruoshi suddenly stopped in her tracks. Hui Lin was stunned. She followed Lin Ruoshi's gaze and saw a door in front of them. It was Yang Cheng. Yang Cheng, who was dressed casually, didn't stand out among the passers-by. However, he was the most important man to the two women, so they recognized him immediately. "Isn't that Dad?" Lon Lon also saw him. She blinked her eyes and asked. Lin Ruoshi and Hui Lin looked at each other and realized that they didn't know each other. "That's strange. It's him. But why didn't he notice that we are here?" Lin Ruoshi asked in puzzlement. Indeed, even if Lin Ruoshi's Hodian realm was too low, Hui Lin was at the soul-forming stage. How could Yang Cheng not notice her? "Brother Yang, are you here to pick someone up?" Hui Lin asked in puzzlement. Lin Ruoshi shook her head. Although she was still angry with Yang Cheng, she couldn't help but say, "Let's go and have a look." The two women carried a little girl and followed him into the international arrival terminal. At this moment, Yang Chung really didn't know that he was being followed by the two women. He didn't dare to use his cultivation and didn't spread out his divine sense. After flying from Zhonghai to Yanjin, Yang Chung hurried to the international arrival terminal to pick up Jane. He planned to pick her up and send her to her place before returning to the Yang family. As soon as he entered the terminal, Yang Chun saw that a group of international passengers had already arrived. Coincidentally, the amber-colored hair was very eye-catching among the crowd. "Jane!" Yang Chun shouted loudly with a bright smile on his face. Dressed in a light coffee-colored British double-breasted coat and a pair of dark-colored tight-fitting jeans, the woman quickly found Yang Chun. Jane, who came here with light luggage, didn't bring any extra luggage. To her, no matter what she wanted, there were people or organizations all over the world who would give it to her. "Yang Chun!" Jane shouted happily in standard Mandarin, which surprised many Huaxia people who came on the same plane as her. How could this beautiful English woman know Mandarin? What enraged the men even more was that such a prideful, pure, and elegant Caucasian woman actually threw herself into the arms of an ordinary Chinese man. "Honey, I missed you so much." Jane smiled brightly, hugged Yang Cheng's neck, and took the initiative to kiss him. She was direct and bold, regardless of the fact that they were in a public place. In Jane's opinion, kissing someone who had already established a relationship was natural at any time and any place. Yang Chung was caught off guard by this foreign girl's kiss, but women were not afraid of it. As a man, there was no need for him to dodge. He put one hand on her waist and the other on her butt and kissed her passionately. Chapter 1352. This kind of romantic French kiss in the airport that crossed countries and even transcended beauty and ugliness was supposed to be a contemporary aesthetic picture. Unfortunately, the two protagonists didn't know that there were two women and a child following behind the man. When Jane appeared in the crowd, Lin Ruoshi and Hui Lin also noticed her. They immediately knew why Yang Chung was here. But Jane didn't notice the two of them. In her eyes, there was no one else but Yang Chung that could be included. It was nothing at first, but when Yang Chung and Jane hugged each other intimately and kissed passionately, Yang Cheng's hands were even ravaging the woman's back. Lin Ruoshi pressed Lanlin's little head down almost instantly, sticking it to her face so that her daughter wouldn't see all this. The woman's face went from pale at the beginning to gloomy and scary at the end. It was so scary that Hui Lin didn't have time to be surprised and was already worried about her. Hui Lin couldn't help but blame Yang Chung. Why was Yang Chung so slow? Until now, he still hadn't noticed the two of them. Was he deliberately trying to make Lin Ruoshi mad? As far as Hui Lin knew, Jane shouldn't have had a relationship with Yang Chung. Why did it suddenly become like this? Hui Lin also felt sour and jealous. But compared to all this, Hui Lin was more worried about how angry Lin Ruoshi would be. Even though Hui Lin wasn't familiar with Jane, she knew the uniqueness of this woman. She had known Yang Chung for 8 or 9 years. They had known each other overseas. In terms of beauty, she was one of the few peerless beauties that didn't lose to Lin Ruoshi. In terms of status, she was the Princess of Wales, who was loved by all. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that she was the future queen. Such a woman was much more lethal than the other beauties in Zhonghai. No matter how confident Lin Ruoshi was, she couldn't be completely confident in facing Jane. Not to mention Jane's extraordinary wisdom and amazing talents in all aspects. It seemed that Lin Ruoshi was great for creating a new era of Yulei, but it was nothing compared to Jane's achievements. Some people were destined to stand at a height that ordinary people couldn't reach in their lifetime from the moment they were born. Seemingly having seen enough of the scene of the icicle piercing her heart, Lin Ruoshi turned around and said to Hui Lin, "Let's go back." Hui Lin glanced at the man and woman who were still kissing passionately. Her heart was aching, but she had no choice but to follow them silently. Lin Ruoshi still felt like she was in a dream when she stepped out of the terminal's entrance. It wasn't until the cold wind of the winter night blew, turning the hot tears on her face into ice, that Lin Ruoshi woke up with a bone-piercing shock. It was cruel, but it was all true. "Mom." Lan Lan seemed to sense that something was wrong. She asked weakly, Who's the aunt who is kissing Dad? Is she also a concubine? Lin Ruashi said coldly. That's not your dad. But he... I said no. You don't listen to me anymore. Lin Ruashi's tone became serious. Lan Lan pouted her lips, feeling wronged. She had no choice but to keep quiet, but her big eyes were still full of doubts. After getting in the car, Lin Ruashi drove silently all the way to the Lin family's courtyard. Along the way, Huilin thought about it and was extremely nervous. If Lin Ruashi knew that even she couldn't resist the impulse in her heart and got together with Yang Cheng, how would it be? At least, Huilin couldn't bear to make Lin Ruashi's mood worse at such a critical juncture. After making up her mind to make Yang Cheng keep his mouth shut, Huilin kindly comforted, Sister, maybe it's just that Princess Jane is particularly enthusiastic and she can't always stay with Huaxia. You don't have to defend him. I've seen enough. I know best what kind of person he is. I'm not blind, Lin Ruashi said indifferently. Huilin pursed her thin lips. Knowing that it was useless to say anything, she could only sigh faintly. Lin Ruashi glanced at her and whispered, You don't have to be distracted by my affairs. You just have to do your job well. If you can make a successful comeback, it will be the happiest thing for me recently. Huilin smiled bitterly in her heart. This is not only your business, but also mine. When they returned to the Lin family, except for the old servant Gray Robe, Yin Miao was not at home. Yin Miao had rushed back to the headquarters of the Yellow Flame Iron Brigade for the past 2 days because of the matters in the Demon Realm. After putting away the luggage, Huilin followed Lin Ruashi to the branch of Yulei Entertainment. On the other side, after picking up Jane, Yang Cheng took the woman to the car and went all the way to the Research Institute of Yinjing Medical University, which was also one of the top medical research centers in Huaxia. Although Jane was very excited to see a man and smiled sweetly, she was not blinded by love. She was most concerned about Yang Cheng's physical condition. In the car, Yang Cheng described in detail the situation of the chaos in his body, being in a stalemate with himself. Jane had started to cultivate now, so she could understand it more than before. Jane had no clue about Yang Cheng's state at the moment. She could only decide to do a thorough examination first, then analyze and find solution. Yang Cheng did not have much hope. After all, it seemed that medical technology could not subdue the chaos, but it was better than no hope at all. After entering the quiet research institute of the medical university, Yang Cheng looked at the large number of new buildings around and asked, Little Jane, do you plan to live here since you came to Yinjing? Jane said matter-of-factly, Yes, the director here, Academician Su, has already agreed to let me use all the equipment. I'm used to living in the research institute, so I'm not interested in going to hotels or the like. Is Academician Su your student again? Yang Cheng asked with a smile. Jane chuckled and said, No, he's already in his 80s. It's just that I promised to transfer a formula for liver disease treatment to their research institute for free after I'm done here. So he happily agreed. Anyway, I have a lot of similar formulas, so it doesn't matter if I just give 1 or 2. So, I invited you to come to Huaxia to contribute to Huaxia's medical research. Yang Cheng joked with a smile. Jane winked her eyes charmingly. If my dear Yang Chen wants it, I'm willing to contribute anything. After all, my entire body belongs to you. Yang Cheng swallowed his saliva, thinking that this beauty was completely open now. Her temptation was really irresistible. If it wasn't for the fact that being a prostitute would be helpful to his cultivation, he would really want to do it in Yinjing. When they arrived at the building of the Research Institute, Academician Su, who was wearing a white coat, was already there to welcome them with a few trusted assistants. After all, it was nighttime, and Jane specifically wanted to be quiet, so the Research Institute didn't dare to hold a welcoming party with too much fanfare. After Jane sent these people away in a seemingly polite but overbearing manner, she left only Dean Su, who led the way and went to the various places where the medical testing equipment was located with Yang Cheng. After getting familiar with the equipment, Jane said goodbye to Dean Su. Before leaving, she handed over a folded piece of printed paper. Dean Su took a cursory look and left with an excited smile, as if he had found a treasure. Yang Cheng sighed and couldn't help but think of a sentence once said by a politician. Knowledge is power. Jane, on the other hand, did not have much time to think about other things. As soon as she got into work, the woman was no longer mischievous. She began to adjust the various instruments by herself. Her meticulous look was particularly fascinating. Yang Chung couldn't help, so he had to wait patiently for nearly an hour before he got Jane's permission to start the tests one by one. It wasn't until almost 1 o'clock in the morning that the test was over. Jane still needed time to analyze the results, so she asked Yang Chung to go back first. She planned to stay in this research institute. Yang Chung kissed the woman's forehead. There was no need to say thank you or anything. Everything was understood without words. When he drove back to the Yang family compound, Yang Chung saw that Lin Ruashi's car also happened to come back from outside. After the woman got out of the car, she took the chubby little girl who was sleeping soundly from the back seat and closed the door lightly, for fear of waking up the child. Yang Chung remembered that the woman should have gone to deal with Hui Lin's comeback, but he wondered why Lon Lon also went. But this was secondary. Thinking that tomorrow was the new year, even if it was a good omen for the coming year, it seemed that he should buy 2 new clothes for his wife and child. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense, so he walked forward with a smile and said, "Honey, tomorrow during the day, how about?" Before Yang Chung finished speaking, Lin Ruashi walked past him with the child in her arms. She looked indifferent, as if Yang Chung was air and invisible. Chapter 1353. Although he had been ignored by women many times in the past, Yang Chung was very puzzled this time. Didn't they just sleep together last night? How'd they end up like this after just one day? He hurriedly ran after her, and Yang Chung stopped Lin Ruashi and asked, "Honey, what are you doing? What did I do wrong this time?" Lin Ruashi didn't say anything. She took a detour to avoid Yang Chung and continued to walk towards the door. The Yang family's guards at the door realized that their master seemed to be throwing a tantrum. They stood even straighter, pretending not to hear or see anything. Yang Chung scratched his head in confusion. He had no choice but to follow her. He looked at the cold woman helplessly, not knowing where to start. "Ruashi, don't be like this. If there's anything you want to talk to me about, I'll change. If you're unhappy, tell me. I'll make you happy. I want to bring you and Lon Lon to buy some new festive clothes tomorrow. It's the first time we're here for the new year, after all." Yang Chung talked endlessly, calling her baby, sweetheart, honey, and dear wife. However, Lin Ruashi didn't seem to care about him at all. After carrying Lon Lon into the house, she closed the door and locked Yang Chung outside. It was already early in the morning, and everyone else was asleep. No one from the Yang family noticed the couple's situation. Yang Chung stood outside the door in a daze. He wanted to cry, but no tears came out. When one was unlucky, everything would come together. He was still having a headache about his cultivation, but why did it seem like the woman at home was giving him a cold war? Most importantly, he didn't know what was going on at all. At this moment, Yang Cheng's phone vibrated. He took it out and saw that it was a message from Hui Lin. "Brother Yang, is it convenient for you to contact me? This girl is always cautious." Yang Chung smiled helplessly, found a quiet place, and made a call. Hui Lin picked up the call quickly. "Have you arrived in Yanjin? You must be preparing for your comeback. Why aren't you resting?" Yang Chung asked. Hui Lin nodded again and said hesitantly, "Brother Yang, sister, is she home?" An idea flashed across Yang Cheng's mind. Yes, Hui Lin might know what was going on. "I almost forgot to ask you. What happened to your sister? When I got home, I felt like I was going to freeze to death. What did I do wrong?" Hui Lin sighed faintly. "I called you to tell you about this. The one who picked me up at the airport just now was my sister. We saw you, and Princess Jane saw me and Jane." Yang Chung suddenly opened his eyes and clenched his fists. He wanted to cry, but had no tears. "You mean Ruashi knows about it?" "Yes, my sister looks very calm on the surface, but I think she must be very angry. Brother Yang, why didn't you notice that we were following you?" Hui Lin's tone was also a little sullen. Yang Chung lamented in his heart. It was not that he didn't want to find out, but he really didn't dare to use his cultivation. However, he didn't dare to say it, for fear that the girl would worry about him. "Oh, maybe I was dizzy. I really didn't notice." Yang Chung said perfunctorily, "Thank you, Hui Lin. Otherwise, I really don't know what I did. I have a headache." Lin hesitated and whispered, "Brother Yang, let's not talk about our things for the time being. I'm afraid that my sister won't be able to bear it. And Lanlin's matter may be too much for her. Even if we have to prove Lanlin's identity sooner or later, let's wait." Yang Chung thought so too. He was grateful that the girl was so considerate of Lin Ruashi. It could only be said that feelings were not something that people could control. Lin might not want to come to this point, but she couldn't continue to deceive herself like this. What he could do now was to make Lin Ruashi less hurt as much as possible. Yang Chung was thinking about what other way to treat Lin Ruashi better, but now the woman didn't care about him at all. He could only wait for another time. That night, Yang Chung found a guest room and lay down. However, he was thinking about how to save the situation of the Cold War all night, so he couldn't sleep at all. When the sky was just beginning to brighten in the bedroom of the husband and wife, Lin Ruashi, who was lying on the big bed, was trembling in her sleep. Her legs were twitching unconsciously, and her forehead was full of fine cold sweat. She made intermittent sounds in her sleep. "No, it's not me. I can't. Hubby, Lin Ruashi suddenly sat up from the bed. Waking up from a nightmare made her pajamas soaked in cold sweat. When she saw the furnishings in the familiar room in the dark, she didn't know how many times she breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, it was just a dream. It seemed that the scream was too loud, and the chubby little girl who was lying on the side was also disturbed. Her body trembled slightly. Lan didn't cover herself with a quilt, or the quilt was kicked away by her. The chubby little girl, who was wearing cotton pajamas, was lying on the other side of the bed. Her face was squeezed, and her little feet were exposed to the air. Due to her physique, Lan wouldn't catch a cold on a winter night, so Lin Ruashi didn't force her. At this time, Lan seemed to be dreaming. She murmured a few words that couldn't be understood. Then she wriggled her body and continued to sleep. Lin Ruashi pulled the quilt for her daughter and stroked Lanlin's hair, but her eyes were still filled with the fear of the nightmare just now. She didn't know how many days it had been the same nightmare. Even during the day, fragments of these nightmares would appear in her mind. If 1 or 2 nightmares were psychological hints, then 3 or 4 times, after who knew how many times, the burden and worry of the nightmare was so heavy that it was difficult to add on. In particular, everything in the nightmare was so terrifying. At first, she thought that it was because she was worried when Yang Chung wasn't around, but now that Yang Chung was back, the nightmare became more and more intense. Taking a deep breath, Lin Ruashi looked at the clock on the wall. It was 5 o'clock in the morning. Although it was a little early, she could arrange some work after she got up. Perhaps she wasn't a woman who could stay idle at all. After a long vacation, she would naturally want to do something, even if it was to help Yang Gongming do some farm work. Because Lan was so easy to raise and lovable, many people in the Yang family rushed to hug and take care of her. As a mother, she also had a lot of free time. It was time to do some of her unfinished work. Lin Ruashi tried hard to get rid of the nightmare, suppress it, and not think too much. Then, she got up and entered the bathroom. In the morning, the Yang mansion was already busy. Today was different from the past. Tonight was New Year's Eve. For a traditional rich family like the Yang family, there was a lot of work to be done. Yang Gongming specially wore a red and black tang suit. While looking noble and dignified, he also looked particularly energetic. Yang Pejuan, Guo Xiuhua, Yuan Hawei, Yang Jiyu, and others were also dressed in festive clothes. Early in the morning, the disciples of the Yang family gathered in the ancestral hall. At the end of the year and the beginning of the year, they had to kowtow to the ancestors to report what they had done in the past year and pray for blessings in the new year. This was not pure superstition. After all, many disciples of the big families were scattered in politics or the military. It was very useful to pay tribute to the ancestors like this every year. In addition to the main family members, the collateral family members of the Yang family would also come here, but they would have to wait for the main family members to finish worshiping the ancestors before they could enter. Moreover, the family rules were strict, and the collateral family members were not like the main family members. After these collateral family members died, only the patriarch could enter the ancestral hall to have a memorial tablet placed on him, the other family members did not have this privilege. When Yang Gongming and the other members of the Yang family were waiting outside the ancestral hall, many people were surprised to find that Yang Cheng was not there. Although it was still early, he should have gotten up by now. Could it be that he had forgotten something as important as paying tribute to the ancestors? This young Master Yang was not taking his first New Year's Eve seriously. Many elders were already angry, but they dared not say anything. After all, Yang Cheng was now the second most important person in the Yang family. Perhaps only Yang Gongming was not afraid of this kid. Yang Gongming frowned slightly. He really couldn't find his grandson. However, he did not show any anger. He smiled and asked Lin Ruoshi, "Ruoshi, where is that kid?" Everyone wanted to ask the same question. After all, they were husband and wife and slept together. They couldn't just fall asleep and disappear, right? Chapter 1354. Lin Ruoshi was holding Lanlin's hand and standing behind Guoshiwa. As the chubby little girl woke up too early, she was still rubbing her sleepy eyes. She had a cute and innocent look on her face. What the adults said was none of her business. She could eat breakfast as soon as possible. Although Lanlan was known to everyone as not her biological child, Yang Gongming had approved her to enter the main sect. That meant that she would definitely enter the ancestral hall in the future. Naturally, she had to come to pay respects to her ancestors. Lin Ruoshi was very uncomfortable. She was so anxious that her heart was beating fast. At this moment, her palms were sweating. She should ask her about this, but last night, she just locked Yang Cheng outside. This time, she really didn't know. This man, who always caused trouble, was locked outside the door to let him reflect, but who knew where he went to fool around with other women. Lin Ruoshi was so angry that her face was a little pale. She had bitterness that she couldn't speak of, and her breathing became rapid. "Grandpa, Lin Ruoshi didn't know where to start. Say that she locked him outside the door and didn't care about him. Guoshiwa noticed that something was wrong. In order not to make a fool of herself, she suggested, "Why don't we call and ask? This is really outrageous. Such an important day, and you're still missing," Yang Pejuan said unhappily. Yang Jiu and the others at the side all revealed an awkward expression. They couldn't help but think, if you as a father could control it, wouldn't there be so much trouble? Stop fighting. Stop fighting. I'm here." At this time, Yang Cheng's voice suddenly came from the distant corridor. Yang Cheng's hands were rubbing on his cotton trousers, as if he had just washed his hands. He trotted to the front of the queue. Everyone looked at Yang Cheng, who suddenly appeared out of nowhere, in puzzlement, but they also breathed a sigh of relief. Yang Gongming frowned as he looked at Yang Cheng. Smelling the oily smell on him, he asked, "Where did you go?" "Hee, old man, don't be angry. I followed Chef to the market this morning to buy some food and came back to make breakfast for you. Wasn't there a slight miscalculation of time?" "Make breakfast?" Yang Gongming asked suspiciously. "Strange, there are more than a dozen cooks and helpers in the Fu's kitchen. You are the master of the household. Why are you cooking?" The people behind him also looked at Yang Cheng strangely. Lin Ruoshi was also a little puzzled and had a suspicious look on her face. Yang Cheng tilted his head and mumbled a few times, but he didn't answer. All right. Won't it be over after we eat? Let's go and pay our respects to Bodhisattva." "Nonsense. Today was the day to pay respects to the ancestors. What pay our respects to Bodhisattva?" Yang Gongming was very serious about this matter, blowing his beard and glaring. Yang Cheng awkwardly rubbed his head. "Isn't it good that the ancestor has become Bodhisattva? Even if I go to the Western Heaven, there will be people to protect me." "Fine, pay our ancestors then." After such a muddled commotion, the ancestral worship finally began. Waves of people entered one after another, and it took more than half an hour before it ended. Yang Gongming let some of the collateral family members have breakfast in the living room, while his own family members went to the dining room that they usually used. When everyone sat down, they found that the breakfast on the table was no different from usual. Simple pastries, millet porridge, and various side dishes, as if nothing had happened to Yang Cheng. Yang Cheng, "Aunt didn't see that you made any special breakfast," Yang Jiu said with a smile. "It's not served yet." As Yang Cheng said this, he snapped his fingers at the maid who was serving at the door. The maid understood and immediately arranged for a few servants to enter in a line. Each servant was holding a large plate, and the food on the plate was already fragrant even before entering the room. When it was served, everyone was a little surprised to see that it was actually roasted lamb legs, braised lamb chops, and countless roasted lamb skewers. What made the Yang family members even more unbearable was that there was actually a big lamb head and a big pot of lamb offal. Seeing this mutton with a gamey smell so early in the morning made their appetite for breakfast a little unnatural. On the contrary, Yang Lamlin's eyes lit up, and she shouted sweetly, "Daddy, did you make something delicious for Lan Lan?" "Haha, it's still my daughter who gives me face. How about it? I bought this goat from the market early in the morning. Although I only made half of it, it's enough for you to eat. Everyone, don't stand on ceremony." Before Yang Cheng could finish his words, he had already picked up a string of lamb skewers and handed it to Lin Ruoshi. He smiled nervously and said, "Wife, eat lamb skewers." Like the others, Lin Ruoshi finally understood why she had been missing before. Buying a goat and making half of it into a dish was already surprisingly fast in just a few hours. Seeing that the man was obviously trying to curry favor with her, Lin Ruoshi hesitated whether to take it or not. "I heard that you used to sell lamb skewers in Zhonghai, but you don't have to make lamb all the time. You can also make some other dishes." Yang Jiu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Yang Cheng glanced at her. "Don't think too much. I only roasted the lamb skewers, and the rest were made by the chef. I'm telling you, I roasted this lamb skewers for my wife to eat. You are not allowed to eat it." Lan Lan, who had already taken a skewer and was biting on it, raised her head aggrievedly and asked eagerly, "Can't Lan Lan eat it too?" Yang Cheng touched the chubby little girl's head. "Lan Lan and Mom can eat it, but others can't." Lan Lan then continued to eat happily with relish. In fact, she wanted to hold the whole lamb leg and eat it, but after listening to the story of Kong Rong's pear, the chubby little girl felt that it was better to wait for her great-grandfather to say that he didn't want to eat it. But in this way, everyone understood that Yang Cheng took such a big detour to please Lin Ruoshi. Guoshiwa already had a lot of experience. Seeing that Lin Ruoshi was still frozen there and didn't take the lamb skewer, she asked, "Ruoshi, did you two quarrel? Why are you ignoring Yang Cheng?" Lin Ruoshi didn't know how to answer, so she forced a smile. "We didn't quarrel." As she said, she took the lamb skewer from Yang Cheng's hand, but she couldn't open her mouth. Yang Gongming was old, so he naturally couldn't eat lamb early in the morning. He said leisurely, "Young people nowadays, young couples like you always make your marriage tit for tat. They don't know how to cherish it. If there's anything, you should talk it out and reflect on yourselves. While you're still young, you should be glad that you can see each other now. When you grow old and are no longer young, you might not even be able to see each other." As if he was lamenting the difference between him and his wife, everyone quieted down after hearing what Yang Gongming said. Yang Gongming sighed and said to Lin Ruoshi, "Ruoshi, Grandpa won't help either of you. I'm just stating the facts. Although Yang Cheng is a little rash sometimes, he is not stupid. He came up with such a stupid idea this morning, buying a lamb to make skewers for you to eat. It shows that he really wants to save something, but he has no other way, so he came up with such a bad idea. Take pity on him and give him a chance. After all, today is New Year's Eve, and Grandpa doesn't want to see you spend the New Year unhappy. This afternoon, the two of you can take Lan Lan out to shop, buy some new clothes, visit relatives, and receive guests. Let Yang Cheng pay for all the money. Buy whatever you want and vent your anger. When you come back in the afternoon, Grandpa hopes that you will come back with a smile." The simple but gentle words of the old man warmed Lin Ruoshi's heart. She really couldn't bear to let the old man worry about them during the new year, so she smiled and nodded. Yang Cheng also heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. The old man was still helping, but he was at his wit's end. Otherwise, who would have the time to kill a lamb and make skewers so early in the morning? Guo Shihuahua looked at her father-in-law with a hint of bitterness. She felt sorry for her son, who had to lower himself to please his daughter-in-law. Moreover, she didn't know what was going on. Maybe it was Lin Ruoxi who was in the wrong first, but she didn't dare to offend Yang Gongming, so she could only bear with it and keep quiet. After breakfast, although Lin Ruoxi still didn't talk to Yang Cheng, at least she didn't treat Yang Cheng as heir. The family of three set off for the department store in the city with Lan Lan. At the same time, the news of Hui Lin's sudden appearance in the Spring Festival Gala spread on the internet, and she became the focus of the national media. With Lin Ruoxi's connections, the public gradually focused on Hui Lin's courageous comeback and strong return. After all, Hui Lin had a large number of fans from all over the world. The public didn't really care about the private lives of celebrities, and they didn't really trust the gossip media. As a result, the atmosphere of the movie premiere, which was originally a little cold, became hot, and many people focused their attention on it. Chapter 1355. In the evening, in the parking lot of the Education Bureau of Zhonghai City. It was the Lunar New Year, so most people had gone home except for those who were working overtime. There weren't many cars in the parking lot. Li Jingjing walked out of the entrance with a white bag on her shoulder. She was only wearing a black and white striped sweater. She looked a bit thin, but she didn't feel cold at all. She walked to the center of the parking lot and took out a brand-new Mercedes-Benz car key. She walked to a red SLK 350 sedan in front of her. Because Yang Cheng had given her enough money, the Mercedes-Benz car had been delivered to Li Jingjing yesterday afternoon. She wasn't used to it yet, so she drove her new car to work happily and excitedly. Li Jingjing didn't think that she was someone who would show off. She didn't think that a car worth more than 1,000,000 yuan was a big deal in today's society. But perhaps because it was a gift from the man she loved, she really hoped that it wasn't the Spring Festival. Otherwise, more colleagues could see it. Just as she was about to open the door of this elegant new car, a silver-gray Ferrari stopped beside her in the blink of an eye from a corner in front of her. Meng Zhixin rolled down the window and looked at the brand-new Mercedes-Benz in surprise. Then he glanced at the key in Li Jingjing's hand and forced a smile. "Jingjing, is this your car?" Li Jingjing knew what he meant. She nodded with a smile. "Yes, Deputy Director. Thank you for giving me a ride. I won't bother you anymore." "Did Yang Cheng give it to you?" Meng Zhixin asked. Li Jingjing didn't hesitate. "Yes. Don't you know that he's married to Lin Ruoxi, the CEO of Yulei International?" Meng Zhixin said. Li Jingjing looked at him in surprise. "I think it's our private matter. Director Meng, it's impolite of you to investigate someone else's background. If there's nothing else, I'll be leaving." "Stop." Meng Zhixin raised his voice. "What's so good about that Yang Cheng? I've been pursuing you with all my heart, but you didn't give me a chance. He's already married, so why are you so shameless? Tell me, which part of him is better than me?" Li Jingjing's face turned pale. She could feel the anger in Meng Zhixin's eyes, but she wasn't afraid. Instead, she was furious. "I don't want to compare any other man to the man I love. Feelings are not bought or sold, nor are they items. They can't be measured by standards. Director Meng, I respect you, but please respect my private life because you don't understand it at all," Li Jingjing said in a tone that was neither servile nor overbearing. Just when Meng Zhixin was about to lose his temper, a black Bentley drove in and stopped beside Meng Zhixin's Ferrari. Meng Zhixin was surprised, but Li Jingjing did not understand why a big shot would come here at this time. Soon, a middle-aged lady with curly hair and bright red lips, dressed in a white fur coat, got out of the Bentley. The lady was only wearing a short black skirt, white stockings, and bright silver high heels. She looked sexy and enchanting. Her oval face was white and flawless, but from some of the wrinkles on her neck, it could be seen that she had spent a lot of money on hyaluronic acid and other microplastic surgery. "My good son, fortunately, you're still here. There was a bit of traffic on the road, and I thought I wouldn't be able to catch up with you from work." The lady smiled and came to Meng Zhixin's window. Li Jingjing was slightly surprised. This woman looked to be in her 40s, but she was actually Meng Zhixin's mother. Meng Zhixin didn't seem to be in a good mood and said darkly, "What are you doing here? How cold?" "Of course, Mom wants to go home with you for the new year. We haven't seen each other for so many days. Don't you miss Mom?" the lady complained. Not interested, Meng Zhixin said impatiently. You can leave, I still have something to do. The lady turned around and looked at Li Jingjing. She sized her up for a while, and her eyes showed a bit of jealousy. Oh, so you've fallen for a little bitch. Why? You seem to be arguing about something. Is there another woman who doesn't like our Meng family's second young master? The lady mocked disdainfully. Zhang Ling. Shut up. Meng Zhixin called her name and frowned. Get back in the car. Don't talk nonsense here. I'm your mother. How can I not care? I also know that this girl's name is Li Jingjing, and I know where she lives. Zhang Ling said proudly. Li Jingjing didn't know why, but she felt a little disgusted. This woman was looking at her with all kinds of resentment. How dare you investigate the people around me? Zhang Ling, are you tired of living? Meng Zhixin roared. Zhang Ling snorted. You only know how to yell at me because I can't bear to ignore you. You heartless girl. She doesn't even want you, and you're still so mean to me. Yell all you want. Who asked your mom to be so magnanimous? Your grandpa came to Zhonghai today with all the granduncles. If you're late again because of this little bitch, your dad will definitely skin you alive. After Zhang Ling sneered a few times, she walked back to the car while swaying her buttocks. She told the driver to turn around and leave. Meng Zhixin seemed to realize that the situation wasn't good. He glared at Li Jingjing, then looked at the fiery red Mercedes-Benz. He stepped on the accelerator, and the Ferrari rushed out of the Education Bureau's gate. Standing in the cold wind, Li Jingjing felt a little strange. Although she was a little angry, she looked at the new car and felt warmth in her heart, so she didn't think too much about it. But Li Jingjing didn't know that Meng Zhixin's anger hadn't subsided yet. While driving, Meng Zhixin sneered as if he was talking to himself. Great. Lin Ruoxi, not only did you not treat your man well, but you also asked him to buy a new car for his lover. You're really capable. Yang Cheng, are you trying to humiliate me by spending your wife's money to pick up a girl? You fool who lives off a woman. I'll see what you can do to snatch my woman away from me. Meng Zhixin took out his cell phone and dialed a number. After the call went through, a man's hearty laughter came from the other side. Ha. Deputy Director Meng, how come you have time to call me? Shouldn't you be on your way to the banquet? Uncle Chun, you're my elder, and I haven't paid my New Year greetings to you yet, Meng Zhixin said politely. You're being so polite all of a sudden. I'm a little flattered. Second young master doesn't visit without a reason. Could it be that there's something you want me to tell your father? The man surnamed Chun had obviously done this kind of thing many times. Meng Zhixin smiled. Uncle Chun, you are the Deputy Director of the Environmental Protection Department. You have a lot of power in your hands. You don't need to report to my father for trivial matters. You can handle it directly, Director Chun laughed. I know you have something to tell me. Tell me, I'll help you if I can. Meng Zhixin revealed a sinister smile. Uncle Chun, it's like this. Lin Ruoxi from Yulei International, and I have a grudge against her. I want her to know what I'm capable of. Don't Yulei International have a lot of textile and chemical companies? Can you think of a way to cause some trouble for them and affect the production lines of Yulei International? Hiss, Deputy Director Chun, who was sitting across from him, sucked in a breath of cold air and said in a somewhat sorrowful tone, Ouch. Second young Master Meng, it's not that Uncle Chun doesn't want to help. If it's another company, even if it's the Yin family or the Zhou family in Zhonghai with assets of tens of billions, with your father's backing, we can do it without any hesitation. We can seal him for 20 days. But that's Yulei International. Lin Ruoxi of Yulei International is not an ordinary businesswoman. That woman's backing is terrifying. Second young Master Meng, how can you have a conflict with her? You're too stupid. Meng Zhixin was slightly surprised. This was the first time he heard Director Chun being so afraid of someone. He had always relied on his father's backing to show off his power. He had never hesitated to do things for Meng Zhixin so that he could put in a good word for him in front of his father. What's wrong, Uncle Chun? Lin Ruoxi only has a few tricks up her sleeves. She can only manage some second-rate companies. Her family members are all dead. How can she have a strong backing? Meng Zhixin was surprised. Chapter 1356. Deputy Director Chun swallowed his saliva and sighed. Indeed, Lin Ruoxi doesn't seem to have a strong background at the moment. But young Master Meng, think about it. Yulei International is such a big piece of cake. Wouldn't the other big companies want to take a bite or two? No matter how powerful Lin Ruoxi is, she's just a business-minded woman. Her life can't be so smooth all the time, right? At the end of the day, it's not that they're afraid of Lin Ruoxi. It's that Lin Ruoxi's husband, Yang Cheng, has been protecting her in the dark. He's the young master of the Yang family in Yanjin. What? Meng Zhixin thought he had misheard. His phone shook, and he almost crashed the car into the fence. The Yang family in Yanjin? You're saying the guy named Yang Chun is Yang Chun from the Yang clan, one of the 4 major clans in Beijing? That's right. With their backing, more than half of the Jiangnan military are willing to work for Lin Ruoxi. Who would want to mess with that woman? Director Chun smiled wryly. Meng Zhixin's face paled. He had heard of the 4 major families, but he had never interacted with them before. Secondly, he didn't pay much attention to them. He came to Zhonghai to gain some experience, and he didn't plan to stay in Zhonghai for long. Plus, he was an educator, so he didn't care about those entrepreneurs. Although the 4 families in Yanjin were known by all the rich families in China, China was a vast country after all, and there were local tyrants everywhere. The deterrence of the 4 families wouldn't really make all the rich families fear them. Maybe families like the Yang family, who were closely related to the military, could use their relationship with the military to intimidate others. The Ning family, on the other hand, had a certain amount of influence with their network of local officials. As for families like the Li family and the Tang family, although they were powerful, many of their power and financial resources were shameful. They wouldn't be able to hurt the feudal lords too much. If they really went out of the Yanjing area, it was uncertain who was stronger and who was weaker. In addition, for the sake of their image, most of the time, the 4 great clans would do anything big in secret. The outside world wouldn't know, so it didn't seem like much. In recent years, the event that shocked all the noble families the most was perhaps the rumor that the young master of the Yang family brutally slaughtered the Liang family in the military district of Guang province. Although this matter was strictly controlled by the military, and the common people had different opinions, it was true that the Liang family was exterminated. It was also this time that many big families had a new understanding of the 4 traditional wealthiest families in Yanjin. Whether or not there was any overstatement, at least the strength of the Yang family was not to be underestimated. The arrogant, domineering, and ridiculously powerful young master of the Yang family also made many people admire and fear him. These things were a bit far away from the Meng family. After all, they were separated by 1 or 2 provinces. For Meng Zhixin, the second young master of the Meng family, it didn't matter at all. Therefore, Meng Zhixin didn't expect that Yang Cheng, who looked like a random passerby on the street, was actually the legendary young master of the Yang family, who was like a homicidal maniac. Meng Zhixin broke out in cold sweat when he thought about how he had gone against Yang Chen. He was a little scared. Second young master Meng, let's just pretend that nothing happened. If we really provoke the lion that is lying down and resting, it will not be worth it. Even if Meng Leioi personally comes forward, he may not be able to stop the madman of Yang family. Deputy Director Chen advised. That's right. Meng Zhixin came back to his senses and said unhappily, "Nonsense. No matter how powerful the Yang family is, why would we be afraid of them? This is not the world of the Yang family. It's the central government's. Even if the Yang family wants to make a move against us, will the central government agree? There's still Premier Ning, who has to manage the overall situation. Doesn't Premier Ning have a chief above him? How could the chief take the risk of Hua Xia causing chaos in the Central Plains and let the Yang family fight against us?" Second young master Meng's analysis is reasonable. After all, the Yang family only has a high prestige in the military. Since Yang Pajuan resigned as the commander of the Jiangnan military region, and the second young master seemed to have died in battle, there aren't many troops under the control of the Yang family. Your Meng family naturally won't be afraid of them. Deputy Director Chen immediately flattered. Meng Zhixin felt a lot more comfortable after listening to this, but he wasn't stupid. He knew that this matter must end here, otherwise, he wouldn't be able to bear the consequences in the family. There was no reason for him to provoke the Yang family for a woman. Uncle Chun, pretend that I didn't mention this matter. My father, he understood. Deputy Director Chun laughed in a low voice. Not a single word will fall into the director's ears. Meng Zhixin smiled in satisfaction, said that he would treat him to a meal next time, and hung up the phone. He was still thinking if he should find a chance to reconcile with Li Jingjing and send some gifts to the Li family, so that old Li and his wife could also put in a good word for him in front of Yang Cheng. Even if they couldn't become friends, they shouldn't become potential enemies. After knowing that Yang Cheng was a member of the Yang family, Meng Zhixin suddenly understood why Lin Ruoxi didn't care. Wasn't she just the chairman of Yu Lei International? After marrying the young master of the Yang family, how could she dare to care if he had a concubine or not? Yanjing, Yang family courtyard. Almost for the entire day, there were all kinds of officials and family representatives visiting Yang Gongming. This made the Yang clan extremely busy both inside and outside. It was only until the evening that it became quiet. He thought that no one would come to visit at this time, but unexpectedly, a white Audi slowly arrived, and Abbess Yun Miao, who was wearing a nun's robe, alighted. It was obvious that she had just finished some work at the Yellow Flame Iron Brigade. Yin Miao's face didn't show any expression. She was as cold as usual, and without waiting for the servants to report, she walked to the back hall naturally. The people of the Yang family knew that Yun Miao was a member of the Lin family and had a special relationship with Lin Ruoxi, so they didn't dare to neglect her. Yang Gongming, Yang Pajuan, and Guo Xiuhua came out to meet them too. The servants served tea that could warm one's body and left respectfully, leaving an environment for the masters to chat privately. Yin Miao only bowed to Yang Gongming. She didn't really care about the others. Even though the old nun was old, she still maintained her beauty and high spirits. Madam Lin, you're here so late at night. Are you planning to spend New Year's Eve with us? Yang Gongming asked with a smile. Yin Miao sighed when she thought about the withered Lin family. She shook her head and said, even though my husband is no longer here, the Lin family is still here. I'll go back later. Oh, what's the matter then? Yin Miao sighed and looked around. Is Yangqing not here? He should be back soon. He went out with his wife and daughter to buy some stuff. He's been gone for half a day, Yang Gongming said. Yin Miao frowned. It's best if he's here. After all, it's about my granddaughter, Lin Hui, and Yang Cheng. I'm an impatient person, and I want to figure out some things first. Otherwise, I won't feel at ease during the new year. About Hui Lin and Yang Cheng. Guo Xiuhua's interest was piqued. She asked suspiciously, Madam Lin, could it be that Hui Lin and my son? It was no wonder that Guo Xiuhua would think that way, because this kind of thing had happened many times. The rest of the Yang family came to their senses. Yang Gongming had a strange look on his face. After all, he knew that Lin Ruoxi treated Hui Lin like a younger sister. Yang Pajuan and the rest were helpless. Yin Miao was rather annoyed. You guys might not know this, but Hui told me personally that she and Yang Chun had confessed their feelings for each other during the days when he went missing and they ended up together. I know that Hui isn't a casual child. She's never been so open about her feelings. Once she makes up her mind, I won't be able to stop her. Fortunately, although Yang Cheng is evil, he's capable. I've never seen him let his women suffer losses. Moreover, he has a close relationship with my senior and the Shu Mountain faction. I'm willing to let Hui and him. The rest of the Yang family were surprised. They didn't expect Yin Miao to agree so easily. However, this wasn't good news. They knew that Yang Cheng and Lin Ruoxi's relationship was strained in the morning. If Lin Ruoxi found out that Hui Lin and Yang Cheng had pledged to marry each other, they didn't know what would happen. Everyone couldn't help but break out in cold sweat. However, Yang Gongming thought deeper. He asked, Madam Lin, you must have something to say here. That's why you came in such a hurry, right? Chapter 1357. Yin Miao looked at Yang Gongming with admiration, thinking that the old man had a deep understanding of things. She smiled. That's right. I'm here to regain some dignity for the Lin family. Oh, Yang Gongming's interest was piqued. Let's hear it. Yin Miao sighed helplessly. Hui is the only girl left in the Lin clan. If it wasn't for Yang Chun, I would have chosen a husband for her in the future to continue the lineage of the Lin clan. But now that she's with Yang Chung, it's impossible for Yang Chung to marry into her family. I'm not that delusional. Plus, Hui isn't the legal wife. Although the Lin family can't be compared to the Yang family, our only granddaughter can't be the legal wife. We can't just let this happen. At this point, many of the Yang family members seem to have understood something. Yun Miao continued, "Maybe you don't know this, but Yang Chung can't have children with normal women because of his body and cultivation. But Hui is now a blessing in disguise. She's already entered the soul formation realm. With General Kai's help, she can stay in the secular world for a long time. So, if she's with Yang Chung in the future, she has a higher chance of getting pregnant than other women." This news made Guishuahua's eyes light up. After all, there was only Lan Lan in the Yang family, and she wasn't their biological daughter. As a grandmother, she wanted a real grandchild for a long time. No matter who it was, as long as it was Yang Cheng's woman, she could accept it. Yun Miao paused and said seriously, "I don't hope that the Yang family will change their surname to Lin if they really have a child. However, I hope that if Hui really gets pregnant and they give birth to a second child, the second child will be brought into the Lin family to continue the Lin family's bloodline. What do you think, old Marshal Yang?" Although they were prepared, the Yang family members were still silent. Yang Pujuan and the others looked at Yang Gongming nervously. Although with the number of women around Yang Chun, it was possible that he would have many children in the future. But any of his children would be the flesh and blood of the Yang clan. How could they simply say that their surname was Lin? If the second child was a girl, it would be fine. But if it was a boy, it would be a great loss for the military like the Yang family. Yang Gongming picked up the teacup and blew away the dates and chrysanthemums on it. He took a sip of the 8 treasures tea and put it down. The old man squinted his eyes and smiled. This old man can understand Madame Lin's thoughts. Carrying on the family line has always been an important matter for our sections. After all, there are 3 ways to be unfilial, and having no descendants is the worst. If you want Huilan's second child to change his surname to Lin, it's not impossible, but there must be conditions. Yun Miao's eyes lit up with excitement. "Just say it." Yang Gongming raised a finger and said, "First, if this child's surname is Lin, he will be the successor of the Lin family. Naturally, he will not be able to get any of the Yang family's assets. Secondly, the child's upbringing will be the responsibility of the Lin family. In other words, all the skills of my grandson, Yang Chung, will not be passed on to the child. If the child wants to cultivate, it will be his own business. He will not be allowed to obtain the skills of the Yang family." Yun Miao was displeased. "Old Marshal Yang, I can accept the first restriction. But Yang Cheng's skills came from our Shu Mountain sect's endless resolve restoration scripture. Why should it belong to the Yang family? It's true that it came from Shu Mountain, but only the Yang family knows about it. It is also the foundation of Yang Chung. If it is passed on to other families, it will affect the status of the Yang family. We have to guard against it." Yang Gongming insisted. "As the saying goes, every man for himself. I am not a merciful bodhisattva. As long as I live, I will fight for the interests of the family. But doesn't the child also have the blood of the Yang family?" Yin Miao said angrily. Yang Gongming shook his head. "His surname is not Yang. Because of his identity, he will not be able to enter the ancestral hall. He will no longer bear the glory of the Yang family. Naturally, he will not be considered a true member of the Yang family. Blood? That is secondary. Otherwise, I would not have allowed Lan Lan to enter the genealogy of the Yang family. This is too much." Yin Miao stood up angrily. She wanted to rely on Yang Chen's power to help her great-grandson rise and lay the foundation for the Lin clan to become one of the top clans. If she couldn't get Yang Chen's cultivation method inheritance and external assistance, it wouldn't be easy for her to rise. Guo Shuhua stood up and said, "Madam Lin, please do not slander us. It is already shameful for the Yang family to have a descendant change his surname. We cannot do anything more." Yang Gongming looked at his daughter-in-law with satisfaction. At a time like this, It was time for the wife of the family to fight back. After all, he was a man and an elder. Yun Miao gritted her teeth. Just when she was about to say something, she suddenly looked towards the door and smiled. All right, Yang Chung is back. I will ask him in person. If he says he can do it, none of you can stop him. Oomph. If that brat dares to do anything to harm the family, none of us will forgive him, Yang Pejuan said solemnly. Yun Miao looked at him in disdain and stood at the door. Sure enough, Yang Chun appeared at the entrance with bags of various sizes. He had bought quite a lot of things, and since his storage ring was full, he had to carry them himself. Lin Ruoshi seemed to be in a better mood. She held Lanlin's hand and walked over with a smile. Shopping was indeed a magic weapon to ease a woman's mood. Seeing this scene, the Yang family should have been a little relieved. But now that Yun Miao was here, they were in the teeth of the storm. However, they couldn't chase Yun Miao away at this time. Yang Chung, you're finally back. Today, I will demand an explanation from my Huier and the Lin family. Let's see if you have the heart of a wolf and lungs of a dog. Yun Miao shouted. Because Yang Chung couldn't use his divine sense, he only noticed the person standing at the door arrogantly. Why did Yun Miao, who was wearing a nun's robe, feel like a death warrant? Lin Ruoshi furrowed her brows when she heard the voice. The smile on her face had disappeared. Yang Chung placed the things at the door and asked the servants to take them to the backyard. He looked at the people in the house nervously and smiled awkwardly. Abbess Yun Miao, what do you mean by this? Yun Miao's eyes lit up. She raised her voice and said, I only ask you one thing. Will you take full responsibility for the children you and Huier have in the future? Rumble. It was as if thunder had exploded in his head. Not only Yang Cheng's head was about to explode, but Lin Ruoshi's face was also pale. It was as if she was completely frozen on the spot. Yang Chung looked at Yun Miao in shock. His lips were trembling. He couldn't understand what was going on. How did Yun Miao know about his relationship with Hui Lin? Hui Lin never told him about it. Looking at Lin Ruoshi, he saw that Lin Ruoshi seemed to be immersed in darkness. Yang Cheng's heart was beating so fast that his heart couldn't take it anymore. Seeing their expressions, Yun Miao asked suspiciously, Why? Didn't you tell them about your relationship with Huier? Why are you so surprised? Are you fooling around with Hui? If you dare to have a change of heart and hurt Huier's love for you, I won't let you off even if I have to risk my life. When Lin Ruoshi heard this, her eyes became listless. Images of her picking up Hui Lin from the airport, joking with Hui Lin, and being comforted by Hui Lin flashed through her mind. She encouraged her, told her to relax, and looked at her gratefully. Lin Ruoshi suddenly realized that she was the most stupid one. She was so stupid that she thought she knew everything when she was being toyed with. The road in front of her became dark, and the man beside her became so strange. It was as if she had reached the end of the world. Ruoshi, you listen to me. Yang Chung noticed the look in her eyes at this moment. Her eyes were filled with the aura of death. Yun Miao also realized that she might have done something evil. The impact of these words on Lin Ruoshi was beyond imagination. The Yang family, including Yang Gongming, ran to the door. Guo Shuehua grabbed Lin Ruoshi's cold hand and shook it. Ruoshi, don't be like this. We just found out. Yang Chung has wronged you. Can we teach him a lesson for you? You, why are your hands so cold? Are you sick? Lin Ruoshi didn't react at all. She didn't cry, didn't speak, and even her breathing was very light. She just let herself be shaken, standing there in a daze like a soulless doll. Chapter 1358. Everyone in the Yang family, including Yang Gongming, looked worried. Lin Ruoshi's condition was too worrying. Seeing this situation, Yun Miao frowned and said unhappily, What do you mean? Are you going to act like this just because of our Huier? Did Yang Chung not have any other women before? You're the young mistress of the Yang family. You should be mentally prepared to marry into a rich family. Don't you even have this little bit of tolerance? Do you want to suppress your husband? Enough. Yang Chung looked at Yun Miao angrily. If this woman wasn't Song Tianxing's junior sister and Hui Lin's grandmother, he really wanted to go up and slap her. Yun Miao didn't give in and said arrogantly, Am I wrong? She and my Huyer are not real sisters by blood at all. It's ridiculous that you have to act like this. Guo also knew that the situation was serious this time. She protected Lin Ruoshi and said, Madam Lin, don't go too far. Why don't you talk about how you hurt Ruoshi's grandmother that year? You can't tolerate your husband having a mistress outside, but today you want Ruoshi to accept Hui Lin's matter calmly. Don't you think it's ridiculous? Shut up. Yin Miao was so angry that her face turned red. What happened that year had always been a pain in her heart. Even if Lin Jigua had passed away, it still couldn't erase the shadow in her heart. It wasn't an exaggeration to hate Lin Ruoshi's grandmother to the bone. Naturally, she didn't treat Lin Ruoshi well. Don't you know that I'm your elder? How can you talk to your elder like this? Humiliating Ruoshi like this is rude to the Yang family. I don't care if you're my elder or not. Guo Shuehua said angrily. The two old women were quarreling. They didn't look like ladies at all. They were like shrews cursing in the street. It could be seen that they were extremely angry. The men on the side had dark expressions and didn't know how to interrupt. Yang Cheng was furious, but he didn't know how to comfort Lin Ruoshi. He couldn't tell everyone that there was nothing between him and Hui Lin. Yang Cheng couldn't do this kind of self-deception, and he didn't want to hurt another woman at the same time. Suddenly, Lin Ruoshi, who had been silent and expressionless, revealed a trace of coldness in her eyes. Her eyes were like a shiny steel knife, emitting a bone-piercing chill under the moonlight. She abruptly turned around and walked out of the door. Ruoshi, where are you going? Yang Cheng shouted, but Lin Ruoshi's footsteps were very fast, and she had no intention of stopping. Seeing that her mother was going out, Lan Lan wanted to run after her, but she was picked up by Yang Cheng. Lan Lan, be good. Stay at home and wait for dinner. Don't run around. Yang Cheng handed his daughter to Guo Shuehua, who was at a loss, and chased after her. Guo Shuehua carried her granddaughter and wanted to stop Yang Cheng, but she couldn't. Although the chubby little girl was still young, she knew that her father and mother seemed to be in conflict. However, she had always been optimistic and knew that she couldn't care too much. Thinking that it was indeed time for dinner, she obediently lay on her grandmother's body and didn't go out. For a moment, the Yang family and Yun Miao, who were left at the door, didn't know what to say, and the conversation was at an impasse. It was New Year's Eve, but there didn't seem to be any joy at all. After Yang Cheng chased to the door, he wanted to stop Lin Ruoshi, but the woman had no intention of stopping at all. She glared at Yang Cheng coldly, and Yang Cheng's mind was frozen for a moment, and the woman passed by him absent-mindedly. It wasn't the first time that Yang Cheng experienced coldness from a woman, but this time it was more bone-chilling than any previous time. It was as if the bones of the whole body were soaked in the ice ditch of the South Pole, and he would instantly lose consciousness. That gaze, desolate, tough, indifferent, and mixed with a trace of madness, made Yang Cheng feel strange, but strangely familiar. In such a daze, when he turned around again, Lin Ruoshi had already driven out in a red Audi that she used. Seeing the speed at which the woman was driving, Yang Cheng didn't dare to think anymore, afraid that something might happen, so he quickly got into a black BMW and chased after her. Since it was a family reunion, although there were many cars on the road, it wasn't as congested as usual. Yang Cheng followed closely behind Lin Ruoshi's red Audi, trying to catch up, but to his surprise, he found that Lin Ruoshi's driving skills were surprisingly good. The red car was like a red zigzagging light. The control of the gear and the performance of the engine matched perfectly, not wasting the slightest bit of power and time, overtaking one car after another in an ingenious route in the traffic flow. Yang Cheng thought that he wasn't inferior to the top professional racers. Otherwise, he wouldn't have beaten the famous racer Weber twice. However, at this moment, as he chased after Lin Ruoshi, he found that even if his car's performance was superior to a woman's car, he still couldn't catch up to her. Since when did Lin Ruoshi's driving skills reach such a high level? Could it be that he had been hiding it all this time? He still remembered that when he was drifting with Lin Ruoshi, the woman was so scared that her face turned green. But now, seeing her driving by herself, she was much more agile than before. Driving often depended on talent, but to a certain level, it also required the accumulation of time. Yang Cheng suddenly had a feeling that Lin Ruoshi's driving skills seemed to have been reborn and were completely different from her original skills. One red and one black car, in the dark night, were like two speeding beams of light. Just as Yang Cheng was about to catch up to the Audi, he didn't expect that he would be separated by a traffic light intersection in front of him. A large truck drove over from the side. Yang Cheng could only release the handbrake and foot brake at the same time. He slid to a horizontal stop and managed to avoid the truck, slamming the steering wheel. Yang Cheng knew that he had been set up. Lin Ruoshi had deliberately taken this road to separate him from the large truck. With such a delay, the Audi had already driven far away, and Yang Cheng had no choice but to chase after it again. This time, Yang Cheng wasn't worried that Lin Ruoshi would get into an accident. With a woman's driving skills, even if someone else crashed into a street, she wouldn't be hurt at all. She must have some ulterior motives for using such skills to get rid of him. He only regretted that he couldn't use his cultivation now. Otherwise, he could fly in the air, and there wouldn't be so much trouble. 10 minutes later, the car arrived at Hua Xia TV station, where the live broadcast of the Spring Festival Gala would be held. Due to the presence of a large number of celebrities, ordinary people were not allowed to enter. Only then did Yang Cheng understand that Lin Ruoshi had come to look for Hui Lin. He wanted to drive the car into the parking lot anxiously, but the security guard stopped Yang Cheng and asked him to show his identification, as only specially invited guests could enter. Yang Cheng was going crazy. Lin Ruoshi, as the boss of an entertainment company, must have the VIP identification, so she could enter without any trouble, but he didn't. Yang Cheng had no choice but to park the BMW by the roadside. Since it was a military license plate, no one would dare to tow it away. So he took a detour and ran into the TV station building. While running, Yang Cheng called Hui Lin. The moment the call was connected, before Hui Lin could say anything, he said, "Hui Lin, did you tell your grandmother about us?" Hui Lin was stunned and said weakly, "Yes. Brother Yang, don't you know?" "I know." "When?" Yang Cheng was stunned. "When you woke up that day and asked me if I told Grandma about the demon realm. I told her that I did, and you said it's okay. What's wrong? Is there a problem?" Hui Lin asked timidly. Yang Chen's intestines were almost green with regret. He was too careless. At first, he thought that Hui Lin only talked about the 10,000 demon realm. He didn't expect that she also included the problem of their relationship breakthrough. Now that things had come to this, Yang Cheng simply told her about Yin Miao making a scene in the Yang family. "Your sister is very angry now, and I don't know why she came to look for you. Help me control her. Don't let her do anything stupid." Hui Lin was so anxious that she almost cried when she heard this. "Grandma, how could Grandma do this?" "I told her that I would tell her myself. Don't you know what kind of person your grandmother is? She's too arrogant and treats you like a child. She won't listen to you." Yang Chun had nowhere to vent his anger towards Yin Miao. Hui Lin seemed to have made up her mind, and she gritted her teeth. "It's all my fault. I'll tell my sister. Even if she wants to scold me, I'm willing to accept it. Brother Yang, don't worry." Chapter 1359. Yang Cheng did not think that Lin Ruoshi would really hit Hui Lin or scold Hui Lin. It did not seem to be the style of a woman. However, he was still anxious to find her and have a good talk with her. Lin Ruoshi, who had arrived at the TV station 7 to 8 minutes earlier, had already parked her car and was walking into the building. At this moment, the woman with a frosty face looked especially unapproachable. Just looking from afar, the woman with her loose black hair hanging down to her buttocks was like an ice sculpture of a snow lotus. She was so beautiful that it made one's heart tremble, and so cold that it made one's heart ache. The staff of the TV station and even some celebrities were in awe of Lin Ruoshi when they saw her. No one dared to ask what this strange woman was doing backstage. Lin Ruoshi's eyes quickly scanned through the labels on the doors of the resting rooms of the celebrities. When she arrived at a room that was clearly labeled Hui Lin, Lin Ruoshi pushed the door open and entered without hesitation. In the luxurious resting room, Hui Lin was already dressed in a pure white satin evening gown. She was waiting for her comeback performance at night. Her pure and flawless face looked rather flustered. When she saw Lin Ruoshi enter the room with a cold expression, Hui Lin stammered, "Sister," as if she was at a loss of what to do. There was only one staff accompanying Hui Lin. It was her manager, Yumin. When she saw Lin Ruoshi suddenly barging in, she was surprised and did not know what was going on. "You get out." Lin Ruoshi glanced at Yumin. Yumin did not dare to ask another word. She did not dare to disobey the absolute tone in Lin Ruoshi's voice. She walked out of the room dejectedly and even closed the door considerately. She was afraid that the boss in the room would think that she was insensible. When there were only two women left in the room, Hui Lin saw Lin Ruoshi slowly walking toward her. She then mustered up her courage and said, "Sister, I know you must hate me. I'm sorry, but I really can't control my heart. Lin Ruoshi walked to Hui Lin and slapped Hui Lin's left cheek with her right hand. A wave of burning pain made Hui Lin's ears ring. It was not that Hui Lin could not dodge, but she did not want to. She was willing to let Lin Ruoshi beat her to vent her anger. However, she didn't expect that with her current soul formation stage cultivation, she would feel dizzy from Lin Ruoshi's attacks. With Lin Ruoshi's Hotian cultivation, to be able to beat him to this extent, it could only be said that Lin Ruoshi was really unceremoniously whipping him. Hui Lin's face was burning, but her heart was like crushed glass shards. She didn't expect Lin Ruoshi to slap her so cruelly. It showed how angry she was. Huilin covered her left cheek that had temporarily lost feeling. Tears welled up in her eyes as she looked at Lin Ruoshi. "Elder sister, I know you're angry. Hit me. If hitting me can make you feel better, bitch." Lin Ruoshi spat out two words clearly, like a sharp knife stabbing in her heart. Hui Lin's face turned pale. She bit her thin lips and forced herself not to cry. "You must think that I'm stupid, right? I actually tried all sorts of ways to get you to come back and work hard. I thought you were my shoes and felt sorry for me. Hui Lin, you're really good at acting. I was so naive to think that you would never betray me. I thought you were the purest and kindest woman. I trusted you so much. I was so willing to do so much for you. But you, behind my back, seduced a man beside me like other women. Where's your shame? Where's your conscience? Pat your chest and ask yourself, do you still have the cheek to say such shameless words to me to gain my sympathy?" Lin Ruoshi sneered. Hui Lin's tears finally fell uncontrollably. They dripped onto the floor and splashed. The woman sobbed and shook her head. "Sister, I don't want you to sympathize with me. I know I'm in the wrong. I won't complain even if you hit me or scold me. As long as you're not angry, I'm fine with anything." Lin Ruoshi sneered. "Do you think that I can't bear to hit you after saying such words?" After saying that, his arms were like two graceful birds, and two consecutive pa-pa sounds were heard. Both of Hui Lin's cheeks were slapped hard. The girl groaned and staggered with one hand against the wall. Lin Ruoshi's slaps were so heavy that Hui Lin started to feel dizzy. She did not have the slightest intention to resist and did not use her cultivation to defend herself. She just let the slaps hit her. Naturally, the damage she suffered was great. Fortunately, even if her face was red and swollen, she could use her true core to quickly remove it. However, Lin Ruoshi had no intention of stopping. She said coldly, "Are you pretending to be pitiful? Do you think that I won't hit you if you don't resist? Believe it or not, I'll not only hit you, I'll also kill you." The moment her voice fell, Huilin finally felt a trace of absolute strangeness. Murderous aura. The murderous aura was surging and thick, like the dark clouds and thunder. Lin Ruoshi seemed to be immersed in darkness. She had turned into a cold and elegant god of death. Her beautiful eyes were filled with unconcealed murderous intent. Was she really going to kill her? Huilin finally came to her senses. She did not even have the time to think about how her gentle and kind sister could have such a violent, murderous aura. In a split second, Huilin, who was still dizzy, instinctively shrunk her body and dodged the attack. At the same time, Lin Ruoshi's hand was about to choke her throat and give her a fatal blow. Judging from the ear-piercing sound, It was obvious that Lin Ruashi had used all her strength. If Hui Lin's cultivation had not reached the soul formation stage, which greatly enhanced her sensitivity and martial arts foundation, she might not have been able to dodge this attack. However, Lin Ruashi's attack was not over yet. She kicked backward with her long leg and hit Hui Lin's chest. Hui Lin could not help but let out a groan in pain. Her body was kicked to the wall. However, this was not enough to hurt Hui Lin. After a series of flips, Hui Lin wanted to dodge to the side. But before she could flip over to the other side of the wall, Lin Ruashi's flying kick was already in front of her. She didn't know when she had taken out the car key, but the key was like a sharp weapon, ready to stab her eyeball. Hui Lin could not believe that her movement had been predicted by Lin Ruashi. Moreover, Lin Ruashi was going to stab her eyeball. In desperation, Hui Lin was instinctively afraid. Unable to dodge, she unleashed the true core in her dantian and formed a true core shield. Bam! Lin Ruashi's attack seemed to have hit a wall of air. Her body was sent flying for 3 to 4 meters and fell to the ground. Sister. Hui Lin thought that she had hurt Lin Ruashi. She could not care less about the dangerous situation just now. She hurriedly ran over and tried to help Lin Ruashi up. However, the moment she reached Lin Ruashi, she hooked one of her legs onto Hui Lin's ankle. Hui Lin lost her balance and fell to the ground with a scream. Didn't I hit you and scold you? Why? Are you resisting because you're afraid? Lin Ruashi sneered and leaped up from the ground. She was as agile as a night leopard, and with a series of movements, she had Hui Lin under her body. The key in her hand was about to stab into Hui Lin's throat. Bang! The door was kicked open from the outside. A figure rushed in like lightning and pushed Lin Ruashi away from Hui Lin. Lin Ruashi rolled on the ground a few times and stood up immediately. She glared at Yang Cheng with hatred. Yang Cheng's heart was in his throat. Looking at Hui Lin, who was still in a daze due to the shock, he felt a strong sense of guilt. Panting heavily, Yang Cheng raised his head and looked at Lin Ruashi, who was a few steps away. Fortunately, he bumped into Yu Min in the corridor and asked for the location of Hui Lin's room. If he had not arrived in time, Hui Lin might have been killed by this woman. Yang Cheng did not recognize the familiar face in front of him. Her viciousness was like another figure that he could not get out of his mind. Lin Ruashi, are you crazy? Are you really going to kill Hui Lin? Yang Cheng asked with difficulty. The woman sneered. Haven't you already seen it? What? Killing a little lover that you've just accepted. You, a man who's worse than a beast, is distressed? She's not dead yet. Chapter 1360. Yang Cheng recalled that night when Lin Ruashi told him that if he touched Hui Lin, he would be worse than a beast. It seemed that even though this woman was extremely angry, she didn't forget her words. Thinking of this, his anger towards Lin Ruashi dissipated. Instead, he felt deeply apologetic towards the two women. It was his fault for not handling the conflict properly. Yang Cheng squatted down silently and helped Hui Lin up from the ground. Looking at the dazed woman, he asked angrily, Are you stupid? Even if you don't retaliate, shouldn't you use your true elemental energy to protect yourself? Hui Lin felt wronged and tears welled up in her eyes. I'm afraid that I'll hurt my sister. Do you think that it's so easy to hurt your body after practicing the cultivation technique that I gave you? Even if you've only reached the Hotian realm, your true elemental energy can shock her over 100 times and nothing will happen to you. Yang Cheng was speechless at this silly girl's naivety. Hui Lin lowered her head. Obviously, she couldn't bring herself to fight with Lin Ruashi. Yang Cheng sighed and raised his head to look at Lin Ruashi. Ruashi, don't do this anymore. No matter how angry you are at me, let me make it up to you. Although Hui Lin calls you sister, she's not related to you by blood. Don't you think it's unfair for you to vent your anger on her? In that case, any woman who's not related to me by blood can have sex with you, right? Lin Ruashi sneered. Yang Cheng shook his head. You know that's not what I meant. I did wrong, and I'm sorry. But have you ever thought that you're the one who pushed Hui Lin to my side step by step? You're still blaming me? Lin Ruashi sneered. I'm just stating the facts. Yang Cheng said seriously. When I first met Hui Lin in Tibet, she had feelings for me. But at that time, I didn't want anything to happen between us. Even when her grandmother insisted on keeping her by my side, I refused to avoid her. Later on, when we moved back home, you were the one who kept her by her side. You invested in a talent show for her, started a company, and even made me the director of the entertainment company to be in charge of Hui Lin's matters. You knew that she had feelings for me, but you didn't take it seriously. Even when I went to visit the set, you forced me to go. Otherwise, the things that happened later wouldn't have happened. Weren't you the one who pushed us to get closer and closer? I don't know if you're testing me on purpose or if you really believe in Hui Lin's self-control. At least I know that this is not my original intention. I once hurt Hui Lin for you and rejected her more than once. But I can't keep hurting her for the rest of my life. She has the right to sacrifice her feelings for me. She has the right to choose. She's not your real sister. Other than falling in love with me, this girl has never done anything wrong to you. She even tried her best to take care of your emotions. She didn't want you to worry or get hurt. Even when you wanted to kill her just now, she only used her true yuan to protect her body and didn't hurt you. Do you really think that Hui Lin doesn't know how to kill people after practicing martial arts in Shushan for more than 10 years? Doesn't she know how to use her true yuan to defend herself? Don't you think you're being cruel to her? When Hui Lin heard these words, she couldn't help but burst into tears. She didn't know if she was touched, in pain, or wronged. She started sobbing. Many things in the past, if not recalled carefully, seemed to have gone far away. But once mentioned, it would hit the depths of her heart like a torrential downpour. Lin Ruashi's face was gloomy. After a long silence, she said with a trembling voice, "Do you mean that I should be grateful to her? You don't need to be grateful to her, but you shouldn't hate her either. If you want to stab me in the heart, I have nothing to say. But you shouldn't hurt her." Yang Cheng's eyes reddened. He couldn't control his emotions. Stab you in the heart? Do you think I'm stupid? Even if I dig out your heart and put it back, you'll recover quickly. What's the use of stabbing you in the heart? Lin Ruashi glared at the man disdainfully and walked straight out of the door. Where are you going? Yang Chen stopped her with his hand. Lin Ruashi angrily slapped his hand away. It's none of your business. Go back with me. Yang Cheng used his body to block the door. Lin Ruashi's eyes were sharp. She suddenly reached out and punched Yang Cheng's abdomen. Yang Cheng's reaction was extremely fast. His close combat skills had been tempered for more than 10 years. The test of life and death had reached perfection. Without waiting for Lin Ruashi to hit, Yang Cheng had already blocked the attack. At the same time, he backhanded the woman's other hand that was about to attack. However, Lin Ruashi suddenly turned to the side and gave a hook kick. She kicked Yang Cheng's hand away. Then, she turned around and raised her knee high to attack Yang Cheng's waist. Yang Cheng didn't expect Lin Ruashi to do this. He was stunned and shocked. However, Yang Cheng's instincts allowed him to deal with it. As he twisted his body, his left arm pressed down on Lin Ruashi's right shoulder. The woman's attack stopped in midair. Lin Ruashi flipped over, but she quickly retreated a few steps. In this series of smooth attacks, although Lin Ruashi's strength and technique were slightly inferior, she was not countered by Yang Cheng. Every move is vicious. If this was on the battlefield, every move would be fatal. Moreover, there are no unnecessary movements. The perfect rhythm of the attack is not something that can be practiced in a day or two. No wonder Hui Lin was pressed to the ground by you. Yang Cheng immediately understood what had happened in the room, but his mind was filled with even more doubts. He frowned and asked, Lin Ruashi, who taught you all this? I said, it's none of your business. Lin Ruashi said coldly. Suddenly, she grabbed Hui Lin, who was still crying, and threw her over her shoulder. Hui Lin wasn't prepared at all. Before she could react, she was sent flying. After crashing into the wall, she fell onto the carpet below. Although she wasn't injured, it was undoubtedly another blow to Hui Lin. Lin Ruashi, are you crazy? Yang Chun let out a furious roar. Like a madman, he rushed forward and wanted to slap Lin Ruashi. However, his hand was raised in the air and kept trembling. He couldn't bear to hit her no matter what. He froze there, feeling as if his heart was being stabbed by a knife. How could he bear to hit the woman he loved the most? Lin Ruoshi raised her head and looked at him coldly and disdainfully. Then she walked out the door. This time, Yang Cheng didn't stop her. He tried his best to calm himself down and walked to Hui Lin, who was at the corner of the wall. Hui Lin didn't want Yang Cheng to help her up. She didn't even want him to touch her. She quickly stood up and wiped her tears. She squeezed out a smile that was uglier than crying. Brother Yang, go after my sister. She must be emotionally unstable now. I'm fine. Hui Lin, you... Yang Cheng didn't know what to say. He felt that he owed her more and more. Hui Lin pushed Yang Cheng out of the room. I'm really fine. I need to touch up my makeup and perform on stage later. Brother Yang, you should leave first. It won't be good if someone comes later. You're going to perform? Yang Cheng turned around in astonishment. Hui Lin, are you too naive or are you really stupid? Hui Lin shook her head and forced a smile. I'm very clear-headed. My sister must have been too angry. She didn't really want to kill me. I'll perform well and do my job well so that her company's investment won't go to waste. She might be happier this way. I'm not asking her to forgive me. I just want her to be happy. Yang Cheng let out a long sigh. He didn't know what to say when he looked at the girl who was so serious and persistent. In fact, there were too many questions in Yang Cheng's mind. With his experience, it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that he was a master in fighting skills. From his point of view, Lin Ruoshi's attacking or killing techniques could be considered as a master. It was just that she didn't have a weapon in her hands. Such a person didn't only rely on physical fitness, but also talent and experience. In the entire world, there were only a handful of such people. Noriko Okawa, whom Yang Cheng had killed, was one of them. Yang Cheng didn't dare to imagine how well Lin Ruoshi hid her skills. How could she have such an ability? Or was there something else? No matter what, Yang Cheng believed that it was Lin Ruoshi who killed the group of post-liminary realm experts after the mother and daughter were kidnapped. With such skills, it wouldn't be a problem for her to fight against 10 people. After asking Hui Lin to take care of herself, Yang Cheng ran out quickly. He was worried that Lin Ruoshi would do something crazy again. Chapter 1361. Lin Ruoshi's speed was extremely fast. When Yang Cheng caught up to her, the red Audi was already on the road. Yang Cheng ran into the car and stepped on the accelerator. This time, the distance between them was even further. Yang Cheng knew that he couldn't overtake her in a short time, so he just followed closely. Gradually, Yang Cheng realized that Lin Ruoshi was returning to the Yang family. He couldn't help but wonder what she meant. Was she planning to celebrate the New Year first? When the car stopped in front of the house, Lin Ruoshi got out of the car and walked through the door coldly. Although it was a joyous New Year's Eve, the red lanterns couldn't dispel the frost on the woman's body. It was the first time for the guards of the Yang family to see such an expression on their young mistress's face. Her cold aura was like a sharp blade, instilling fear in them like never before. What puzzled them even more was that young Master Yang acted as if he was facing a formidable enemy. He followed closely behind her. Lin Ruoshi was heading to the dining hall. Under Yang Gongming's lead, the people of the Yang family didn't wait for Yang Cheng and Lin Ruoshi. They had already started to eat their New Year's Eve dinner. This had already revealed the dissatisfaction the old man had towards the two youngsters. Abbess Yin Miao had passed away a long time ago. Her purpose of coming here was to maximize the family's benefits, not to make enemies with the Yang family. Therefore, she wouldn't overdo it and just hit the bottom line of the Yang family. When Lin Ruoshi rushed into the dining hall, Yang Gongming and the others were slightly stunned, as if they couldn't understand Lin Ruoshi's cold aura. Lin Ruoshi's gaze quickly locked on Lan Lan, who was sitting on a special high chair. The chubby little girl was eating happily at this moment. Although she didn't know where her parents went, it didn't affect her appetite at all. Her mouth was oily, and she was holding a chicken drumstick in one hand and a roast duck roll in the other. She even used her pink tongue to lick the sweet sauce at the corner of her mouth. It was delicious. Seeing Lin Ruoshi come in, Lan Lan shouted happily, "Mommy is back. Mommy is here to eat." A trace of tenderness flashed through Lin Ruoshi's eyes, but it was quickly taken over by determination. She walked forward and carried Lan Lan up from the chair. "Sai, Ruashi, what are you doing? What's going on? Where's Yangcheng? Ignoring the questions from Hua and the others, Lin Ruashi turned around and walked out expressionlessly. Lamlin's little hand clutched tightly onto the unfinished food. Her face was full of reluctance as she looked at the dining table behind her. She didn't understand where her mother was taking her. Stop! Yangcheng just arrived at this moment and stopped Lin Ruashi. As expected, Lin Ruashi wanted to take Lanlan away. Where do you want to take Lanlan? Yangcheng asked in a deep voice. Lin Ruashi looked straight at the man without fear. I want to take my daughter away from you. What right do you have? Yangcheng clenched his fists tightly, unable to restrain his anger. You don't deserve to be a husband at all, and you don't deserve to be my daughter's father. Of course, I want to take her away. Lin Ruashi's eyes were cold, like twinkling stars. Yangcheng suddenly felt a kind of ridiculous emotion spread in his heart. He, the biological father, was said to not be worthy of being a father? Originally, Yangcheng didn't want to reveal Lamlin's background too early, because he was afraid of hurting Lin Ruashi. But now, it seemed that this woman was forcing him into a dead end. He could be ridiculed, beaten, scolded, despised, and even ignored, but Yangcheng couldn't tolerate someone taking his own flesh and blood away from him. Not even Lin Ruashi. Ever since he found out that Lanlan was his biological daughter, this kind of blood connection had burst forth, deeply rooted in the softest depths of his heart, far surpassing all other feelings. At this time, Yang Gongming's face was dark, and he asked in a deep voice, "What are you guys doing? Not only are you guys quarreling on New Year's Eve, but you're also asking for a divorce." Seeing that her father-in-law was angry, Hua immediately panicked and ran to Yangcheng's side, asking, "Son, what happened? How did you, Ruashi, end up in this situation?" Yangcheng took a deep breath and said in a low voice, "She wanted to kill Hui Lin. I stopped her." What? Not only Hua, but everyone else in the house was shocked too. Even Yuan Hawei and his wife, who rarely met Lin Ruashi, were so shocked that their mouths were agape. Lin Ruashi didn't think much of it, and continued to say coldly, "Move. I want to take Lanlan away." "I said you can't," Yang Cheng said firmly. "Lanlan is my daughter. Even if you want to leave, you must let me keep my daughter. I brought my daughter back, so naturally, I'll take her away. You have no right to take her away." After saying that, Lin Ruashi walked around Yangcheng and was about to leave. Lanlan pouted her lips, and her eyes were filled with tears. She finally knew that her parents had really quarreled to such an extent that they actually had to separate. At this moment, Yangcheng couldn't take it anymore. He shouted angrily with his blood boiling, "Lanlan is my biological daughter." The deafening shout was so loud that it seemed like it was going to tear the roof off, and everyone at the scene felt like time had stopped at this moment. Lin Ruashi, who was about to step out of the door, stood stiffly at the door with her back facing Yangcheng, as if she had been frozen. Even old Chun, like Yang Gongming, was the first to come back to his senses. He frowned and couldn't believe what he had just heard. "Kid, what did you say? Lanlan is your biological daughter?" Yangcheng nodded his head with a calm expression, as if a heavy burden had been lifted from his shoulders. It was really too uncomfortable for a father to not say that he had a biological daughter. "Yes, Lanlan is the daughter of a woman I met overseas. Her name is 17. She died after giving birth to Lanlan, and the grandfather who took care of Lanlan was my mentor, Song Tianxing. He couldn't hand over Lanlan to me in time because of some difficulties, but I met him by chance last time, and he told me the truth." The amount of information in Yangcheng's words was too much for everyone in the Yang family to digest for a while. Lin Ruashi's delicate body trembled at this moment. She turned around abruptly, looked at Yangcheng with tearful eyes, and asked coldly, "You're talking nonsense. What evidence do you have?" The woman's tears were like broken pearls, constantly falling down, compared to the ice-cold expression just now. At this moment, she was like a little girl who lost her most precious toy, crying pitifully. But Yangcheng couldn't be merciful at this time, because this matter was related to the identity of his biological daughter. He not only had to consider himself, but also the child. Enduring the pain of his heart being cut, Yang Chung took out the letter and the string of Buddha beads from a storage ring. Yang Chung walked in front of Lin Ruoshi, raised the Buddha beads, and put them in front of Lan Lan. The chubby little girl blinked her big eyes, looked carefully at Hui'r Buddha beads, and exclaimed in surprise, "Grandpa's beads!" This cry allowed Lin Ruoshi to confirm that this was indeed the Buddha beads in the hands of the mysterious middle-aged man. Lin Ruoshi's remaining trace of hope was also shattered at this moment. In this letter, there are all the answers. It was because Minwan didn't want to affect our family that she didn't give it to me. Now that you want to take away my flesh and blood, I can't bear it anymore. I'm sorry, I have to hurt you again, but for my child, I have no other choice. Yang Chung placed the letter in Lin Ruoshi's hands, and then, very naturally, carried his daughter over. In fact, Lin Ruoshi didn't fight anymore. Her hands trembled as she opened the envelope and read the letter inside. The woman's tears immediately dyed the letter, and in the end, she couldn't hold it anymore, and the letter fell down. Guo Xiuhua was already anxious and quickly picked up the letter and read 10 lines at a glance. The more she read, the more excited she became. Really? Is that true? Son, you're not lying to Mom? Is Lan Lan really my biological granddaughter? Guo Xiuhua grabbed Yang Cheng's hand, and the other hand tightly grasped Lanlin's small pink hand. The expression on her face seemed to be laughing and crying at the same time, and her eyes were filled with tears. Not only Guo Xiuhua, but Yang Gongming also lost his usual calmness. He held his breath nervously, waiting for the final confirmation from Yang Chung. Yang Chung gently stroked Lanlin's face with his hand. As you can see, Lan Lan recognized this string of Buddha beads, and Minwan is still in Zhonghai. She also knows the truth. I also saw the relics left behind by 17, and Lanlin's body is special, very similar to mine. I think, even if it's a coincidence, there can't be a mistake. I used to feel that I was very close to Lan Lan, and I felt very close to her. Maybe it's because my blood flows in this child's body. Chapter 1362. Yang Chung put the prayer beads on Lanlin's fat wrist and said with a warm smile, "Lan Lan, Grandpa said this is for you. Grandpa went to play with a good friend and went to a faraway place. It might be a long time before he comes back. But little chubby girl, don't worry. With Daddy here, I guarantee that you will have delicious food and fun every day. Also, no one can bully my precious daughter." Lan Lan was also very clever. She had probably understood the meaning of these words. She looked at Lin Ruoshi pitifully, then looked at Yang Chung and asked softly, "But Daddy, isn't Mother also Lanlin's mother?" Without waiting for Yang Chung to say anything, Lin Ruoshi suddenly raised her head, and there was a trace of determination in her cold eyes. "No, I'm not your mother. Your mother's name is 17. She's already dead. From now on, I will no longer have anything to do with you." After Lin Ruoshi finished speaking, she silently turned around and walked out the door. The woman's back was filled with loneliness and arrogance, but there was no sign of reluctance. Even her footsteps were light, as if there was nothing to care about at all. Yang Chung felt a sharp pain in his heart. The woman actually let go of everything so easily. While he was unwilling, he also felt that it was inconceivable. Lin Ruoshi clearly loved Lan Lan so much. Even if she knew about Lanlin's background, how could she give up so easily? What made Yang Chung even more unwilling was that Lin Ruoshi's words clearly said that she wanted to give up this marriage that had lasted for 2 years and had gone through countless trials and tribulations. "Mom, help me hold Lan Lan." Yang Chung handed his daughter to Guo Xiuhua. Guo Xiuhua was especially enthusiastic at this moment as she took her granddaughter. At this moment, in the eyes of her grandmother, the little chubby girl in front of her was extremely cute. She couldn't wait to rub her in her body and kiss her fiercely for 3 days and 3 nights. Her dream of holding her own grandchild had come true in such a pleasant surprise. As for which woman Lan Lan was born to and what happened to that woman, Guo Xiuhua didn't care at all. She had been waiting for this moment for too long and was so excited that she couldn't stop crying. Yang Gongming and the others also focused their attention on Lan Lan. After all, the sudden appearance of the fourth generation of the Yang family had really swept away the haze of Yang Cheng and his wife on New Year's Eve. People often said that the most ruthless people were the imperial family. Although the Yang family couldn't be said to be like the ancient emperors, the aristocratic families also had these similar characteristics. Regardless of whether it was cold and cruel or unbearably vulgar, the rich and powerful valued the inheritance of a high-quality bloodline. Like the Yang family who had to change their bloodline, it could only be blamed that Marshal Yang Yi only had one son, Yang Gongming. It couldn't be helped. If he really had a biological child, it would be much better than a non-biological child. What's more, there was no lack of women around Yang Cheng. The Yang family wouldn't care that Lin Ruoxi had the blood relationship with the Ning family. Even without this relationship, the Yang family would be more at ease with Lin Ruoxi. Therefore, for the elders of the Yang family, having a granddaughter, Lan Lan, was much more beneficial than having a granddaughter-in-law who was too tough. Guo Shuohua knew that Yang Cheng was going to chase after Lin Ruoxi. After she took over Lan Lan, she immediately advised, "Son, Ruoxi is in a fit of anger now, and she has suffered a huge blow. Even if you go out now, she won't listen to you. Tonight is New Year's Eve. You can't possibly stay out the whole night, right? Mom, stop it. I don't believe that she would be so ruthless." Yang Cheng didn't have the intention to give up. He turned around and ran out. Inside the house, Yang Pejuan snorted angrily. "Useless brat. You don't even want to eat the family's New Year's Eve dinner for a woman. She's not even the child's biological mother. She really doesn't know what's good for her. Just let her throw a tantrum." Yang Jiu said unhappily, "Brother, you're too cold. Ruoxi has suffered enough. Which woman doesn't want a devoted man to accompany her? Moreover, she has been raising Lan Lan as her biological daughter. How can she not be hurt? Marrying into a wealthy family. She should have the awareness of marrying into a wealthy family. Otherwise, she wouldn't have gotten herself involved in the first place. Moreover, from the start, wasn't their marriage a contract? If it wasn't for the fact that she didn't have the awareness of being a wife, why would there be so many women coming out to mess things up? Don't think that your brother doesn't know anything," Yang Pejuan said in disdain. Yang Jiu let out an "oh" and smiled. "I didn't expect you to know so much. It seems that a biological son is indeed a biological son. Although you seem to reject him on the surface, you've always been concerned about him. Now you're speaking up for your son." Yang Pejuan looked a little embarrassed. He hummed and didn't say anything. He had indeed done a lot of investigations. Yang Gongming coughed twice and gestured for his two children to stop. He called for Guo Shuohua to carry Lan Lan over and said with a smile, "Lan Lan, come on, continue eating. Let your parents deal with their own problems." Even the old and steady Yang Gongming sounded a little more gentle and loving when he called Lan Lan's name. However, Lan Lan didn't have a good appetite at this moment. The speed at which she chewed the drumstick also slowed down a lot. Guo Shuohua looked distressed and said with a smile, "Lan Lan, tomorrow, go with Grandma to the orphanage to play with the children, okay? Go with Grandma to give them red packets." Only then did Lan Lan become a little interested. She raised her head and nodded while chewing. At the same time, Yang Cheng, who had rushed out of the courtyard, grabbed Lin Ruoxi's hand. The woman was about to get into the car, but she was pulled back and turned around. "Let go. I don't want to see you again," Lin Ruoxi said coldly. Yang Cheng shook his head. "I don't believe it. How can a relationship of more than 2 years be broken just like that?" A hint of mockery flashed in Lin Ruoxi's eyes. She suddenly sneered and said teasingly, "Yang Cheng, you seem to have forgotten something." Yang Cheng narrowed his eyes. "What is it? Have you forgotten the promise I made with you a year ago?" Yang Cheng's mind went blank. In an instant, his heart raced and his breathing quickened. A year promise? That was the condition he made when he withdrew money from the Swiss bank to help a woman through a difficult time. "That's right." Lin Ruoxi chuckled and said, "Although there's still some days left, it's actually almost time. It's only half a month, so there's no point in arguing about it. I promised you that I wouldn't cause trouble for those women for a year, and I could tolerate you and try to accept them. But now that the time is up, my answer is that I can't accept it, and I've also returned the favor that I owed you for saving my company. You'd better not force me to stay by your side anymore, because as you can see, I really dare to kill people. Maybe one day, when you're not careful, your woman will be sent to hell by me. Yang Chung had almost forgotten about it, but when Lin Ruoshi mentioned it, he realized that the time was indeed up. For a moment, his heart fell into an ice cellar. You're the young master of the Yang family, the underworld King Hades. You can't go back on your word, right? Are you still going to pester me? Lin Ruoshi looked at him mockingly and said with an annoyed tone, I've had enough of you. If it wasn't for the fact that I wanted to bring back the Lan Lan I like, I would feel disgusted by entering this house. Now that I know that Lan Lan is your biological daughter, I don't want it anymore. I want to return to my own life and not stay by your side and constantly be disgusted by your words. You're talking nonsense. You're not that kind of casual woman at all, Yang Chung said angrily. I know. You want to say that I've slept with you so many times. How can I just leave like that? Don't be silly. I'm also a normal woman. I also need a man. I admit that your ability in bed is amazing, but that can't keep me. That's just the toxicity of hormones acting up. Lin Ruoshi was almost speechless. Chapter 1363. Yang Chung wished he could plug his ears. Hearing these words, it was as if the past pictures had been mercilessly shattered, only to realize that they were all just an illusion. Lin Ruoshi seemed to want to stab him one last time, as she said indifferently, There are only two things a woman wants from a man. One is feelings, and the other is money. Lin Ruoshi, do not lack money, and your fickleness cannot satisfy my emotional needs, so I want to leave you. It's very simple. You should have been prepared for this day to come. After saying that, Lin Ruoshi turned around with a calm expression and prepared to get into the car. However, Yang Chung walked forward with a gloomy face and kicked the car door fiercely. Bang! The tyrannical force vented the surging emotions in the male owner's heart. With a loud bang, the entire Audi was kicked into a pile of iron lumps. After flipping a few times, it fell to the side and was completely scrapped. Yang Chung, what are you doing? Lin Ruoshi gritted her teeth and turned around, glaring at the man. Oomph! Yang Chung sneered and raised his head, looking at her coldly. Lin Ruoshi, your arrogance, independence, and confidence now are all because of your current conditions, which are completely different from the past. You don't need to deal with enemies in the business world on all sides. You don't need to face your non-biological father who makes things difficult for you and persecutes you. You don't need to be afraid of those bugs who covet your body. You have enough money, enough power, enough connections, and your wings have hardened. I can tell you very clearly that if the current you also needs to socialize with hypocrites that you don't want to see, also need to worry about those underworld people playing dirty with you, also need to play games with those large financial groups, and also need to use connections to protect you, then you definitely wouldn't dare to reject me as your husband so decisively. Our marriage will change because of the conditions you have. This is the truth you told me. Yang Chung slapped his chest hard, his eyes red as he said loudly, Yes, I, Yang Chung, can summon wind and rain in the world. I have money and power. I can make a world's top 500 companies collapse in a day. I can also make a small country disappear in a day. As long as I want, I can do far more than people can imagine. My money, my power, and I can attract women. I have this ability, and others can't even be envious of me. However, all of this was fought for by me step by step. There is no opportunism at all. I exchanged it with my life since I was born. If I were someone who could only stay at home to take care of my sick parents, a few younger siblings to take care of, and a laborer who could only work at a construction site during the day, would you still stay married to me for 2 years just because you slept with me once? I think you probably didn't even look at me after you got married. You treated me like a bug under your feet and didn't spare me a glance, right? In fact, you did the same in the beginning. But you realized that I could gradually give you unimaginable help. So you started to think about the good in me. That's how you got to where you are today, right? There is no love without reason in this world, and there is no hate without reason. Let me tell you, Yang Chung, can't be the man you requested to accompany you from 9 to 5 in the company, call you Chairman Lin when you meet, massage your back and shoulders when you go home, and coax you to eat and sleep. I can't be around you all day long and treat you like the stars and the moon, as if you were the only woman in the world. I can't look at you for the rest of my life. I am me. Since I was young, I already knew that the weak are prey to the strong, and the strong have the right to lead. I am stronger than other men. This is the condition I have. I have so many women to take care of, and I can't bear to abandon any of them. I can't go back, and I can't go back. If you really like me and love me, then accept me and live with me. Your straightforward and great attitude changes faster than flipping a book. It will really make this fearless man in front of you feel pitiful and despicable. Do you know that? Lin Ruashi's eyes were glistening with tears. She gritted her teeth and said, "You have your despicable feelings, but I don't want to live a lowly life." Lowly? Oomph. So what? There is no absolute fairness in this world. I'm strong, so I have a group of women. At least when they are by my side, they are willing. You don't care about my private life. You think that it doesn't matter who I am with. It was you who first said that you didn't care, and then you said that I am disgusting. Yes, I also know that I owe you, but don't you have any responsibility? How do you want me to dig my heart out for you to think that I am worthy of you? Lin Ruashi took a deep breath and said faintly, "There is no point in saying all this. If other women want to be with you, then let them be. Our marriage contract ends just like that. I've already used you up, and I've also given myself to you. If you feel that it is not enough, I don't mind if you use force. But I don't want to be the young mistress of a young family anymore, and I don't want to be your wife. If you're a man who can let go, then don't stop me. It is not good for us to be together, but at least we can separate freely." Yang Chung let out a long sigh, took out the BMW's key from his pocket, and threw it to Lin Ruashi. "You can leave, but I don't like the women I have had to be enjoyed by others. You can say that I am a beast or a madman. I don't mind, but you better not have other men around you. Otherwise, I will kill everyone I see." With that, Yang Chung turned around and walked back into the courtyard without any intention of looking back. His back view was determined and lonely. Lin Ruashi was stunned by the man's last warning. After a while, she silently held the car key in her hand, which was still warm, and turned around to walk into the BMW. She was going to the airport. There was no need to stay in Beijing anymore. She should return to Zhonghai. A few minutes later, the car drove onto the highway. Under the night sky, the road seemed particularly peaceful on New Year's Eve. There were almost no cars passing by at the same time. Lin Ruashi stepped on the gas pedal to the minimum. The BMW was like a wild black beast, roaring and sprinting more than 200 kilometers. The car seemed to be venting the woman's uneasiness and pain at the moment. Gradually, the tears that had just dried up flowed down again. The tears soaked the sweater in front of her chest, and Lin Ruashi's body slightly twitched because of the sobs. Suddenly, Lin Ruashi seemed to feel a sharp pain in her head. With a moan, she touched her head with one hand and almost hit the fence with the other. Fortunately, she dodged in time and didn't cause a car accident. But even so, Lin Ruashi still broke out in a cold sweat. For a moment, she couldn't help but sob and whisper to herself, "Hubby, I'm sorry. This is all I can do for you." In the dark night, the woman's voice was annihilated by the violent cold wind. In the Yang family's dining room, Yang Chung, who had separated from Lin Ruashi, had already returned to a faint smile when he walked into the room, as if nothing had affected him. When Yang Chung said that Lin Ruashi had decided to divorce him, he also used a casual tone. Yang Cheng's calmness and gentle smile made the Yang family feel particularly sad. This kind of pain in the heart was the most hurtful. But Yang Cheng wasn't a weakling who needed sympathy, so no one persuaded him. Instead, they tried to say some happy things to let Yang Cheng walk out of it as soon as possible. As for who was right and who was wrong, or whether they should try their best to redeem it, no one would be so insensible. When the Spring Festival Gala program began on TV, the Yang family sat together and watched TV, which was a rare sight. They looked like an ordinary family. However, the chubby little girl, who was held by Yang Chung, looked around and couldn't find her mother. There was still some regret on her face. The child didn't understand very deeply, but she could clearly feel that her father was very sad at the moment, so she didn't dare to ask where her father and mother went. She could only sit on Yang Cheng's lap and watch TV. As she said, Hui Lin acted as if nothing had happened. She made a comeback in a stunning dance, and with a lively song with excellent singing, the gala entered a wave of climax. There was no doubt that Yulei Entertainment's public relations ability was proven, and Hui Lin's fanbase was also proven. The news of Hui Lin's comeback from the Spring Festival Gala on the internet occupied the headlines of the major search rankings. Lan Lan seemed to be very surprised that her aunt could appear on TV. For a moment, she forgot the sadness of her mother's disappearance and jumped happily in front of the TV. Looking at the child's innocent smile, it added a rare touch of joy to this solemn New Year's Eve. That night, Guo and others asked more about Lan Lan's birth mother, 17. They sighed about the sad and short life of a woman. Looking at Lan Lan, who had fallen asleep, they cherished her even more. Yang Gongming was carefully considering whether to set up a memorial tablet for 17 and enter the Yang family's ancestral hall. However, Yang Cheng didn't care too much about this because 17 would never care about this kind of thing. Although it was just a verbal divorce with Lin Ruoxi, Yang Cheng was not in the mood to continue to stay in Yanjing. He planned to take Lan Lan back to Zhonghai, but before that, he had to go to the Research Institute to find Jane. Otherwise, it wouldn't be good to leave Her Royal Highness, who was working hard on her research. However, early in the morning, when Yang Cheng was about to go out with Lan Lan, he ran into Tang Wan in a red winter dress and ran to the Yang family with her daughter Tang Dang.